bitch ass nigga. I hear it all the time. Look how we talk. We actually took the word nigga and convinced ourselves because we took the E out and put an A there is good. We actually did that, man.
Welcome back to the podcast. I started this podcast as a way to help Black men in all aspects of our lives. Studies show on average we lose 2.8 years of our life when we're under heavy stress. And I think we can gain those 2.8 years back if we express ourselves healthily. Stick with me as I interview therapists, doctors, advocates, activists, and friends about how we can be better as Black men and as a Black community. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube and following us on Instagram and TikTok, you'll definitely want to do that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. So, man, we back with another episode. We're here with Mr. J. Mr. J is a former corporate executive. You're also a motivational speaker. You're a mentor, businessman. The list goes on and on. Did I miss anything?
A husband, father, grandfather. Those titles actually supersede all the other stuff.
You're very right. How could I miss that?
Nah, it's all good.
Nah, man. I just wanted to say thank you for being here. One,
my pleasure.
I know you got a lot of things that you could be doing with your time, so I appreciate you spending your time with us. I really feel like this is about to be a conversation filled with a lot of wisdom for the young fellas. We have a lot of people in the audience that are around my age, right, in their 20s or maybe in their 30s, still figuring out life, trying to figure out things. And I know you were talking about you find it. You're very passionate about mentoring and bringing up young Black men. And so I wanted to talk to you about. We're going to talk a little bit about your corporate background. Okay. But I don't want to stay there. I ain't gonna lie to you. I want to, we're gonna tap. We'll touch it. Yeah, we'll touch it just because we have to.
Yeah,
right. But we're gonna dip out of that. So you worked at. Let me make sure I get this right. You worked at ABC, Walt Disney,
and ABC, Walt Disney, ESPN,
and ESPN.
Yes.
Right. And now you don't work there anymore. You do your own thing. Why? So talk to me about what it was like being there. What you like, some of the things that you did, and what led you to transition out of that.
Well, I think to take it all the way back, I'm a former executive with ABC, Walt Disney, ESPN. Many moons ago, I worked with them for several years. Prior to that, I worked with Magic Johnson in the hospitality business. I'm the former vice president of the Georgia Restaurant Association, secretary for the Georgia Restaurant Council, and served on the Governmental Affairs Committee here in the state of Georgia. I also started the first African-American drone research and technology company in the history of this country. So those are some of my corporate accomplishments, if you will. But what led me out of that, as I'm real big on ownership. And when I was young man in business, I was making a very good living. I was doing very well. Everybody wants to hit six figures. Well, I was able to achieve that. But I would look at the profit and loss statement, and I would look at the P&L, and I'm generating tens of millions of dollars for the company, and I look at it, what they're paying me. And it's just business. I have nothing bad to say about them. But when you understand that they're making that money off your knowledge, off your expertise, off your sweat, if you will. And I'm not knocking anybody who has a corporate job. Do what you do you. You feel me? But at the same time, I was of the mindset, if I'm making these cats, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 million in profit, and you paying me well, but you're not paying me.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying to you? And again, it's no harm, no foul. It's just the nature of business. But that's what kind of led me away from that, to try to go off on my own. And of course, I failed miserably when I first started, to be honest. But I think that's part of the learning process, something you just have to go through. There's always going to be a time, I believe, in any entrepreneur's life, you're going to hit rock bottom. But it's from that you get the emotional fortitude, the mental toughness, and all the other intangibles that are necessary in order for you to be successful in the long term.
So talk about rock bottom. What was that? What was rock bottom for you?
Rock bottom for me and my wife was foreclosure, bankruptcy, government assistance. You go from making, well over six figures to you branch out on your own. And I'm being a little bit modest there. I know that everything that happened to me was for the betterment of other people. And what I mean by that is that sometimes it's not just about you, but it's what you're acquiring along the way. Now, I don't wish that on nobody, mind you. I didn't enjoy that. But going through those experiences, it solidified so many things in myself. Number one, you'll find out how much stronger you actually are than you think.
Right.
Because nobody wants to go through adversity.
Right.
It is what it is. Nobody wants to go through any drama, any pain. But the fact is, if you go through it and you experience it and you come out of it, how many people, it's that old adage, what doesn't kill you?
Makes you stronger.
But it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. The deal is, but nobody wants to go through anything that's going to make them stronger. It's like telling the guy, hey, you can go to the gym and lift weights and it's not going to hurt.
Mm.
That's just not a realistic expectation. There's going to be some level of discomfort. So, but those were some tough times for my wife and I, and I got to shout her out. As I said earlier, I've been married 28 years now.
Mm-hmm.
We've been together 30 years. That's my girl, man. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I love her with all my heart. 30 years is a long time. When we met, I didn't have this white on my face, and I was a young man like you.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that, because we were talking about that on the way here, and I've had another guest. I was talking about marriage and how there's a difference between like my generation and the way we view marriage and relationships, and your generation, the way you guys view it. What do you feel like is the disconnect right now? What are some of the things that what are some of the mistakes you think that we're making when it comes to that?
I'm going to peel that onion back a bit more. Mm-hmm. It's more than just the rhetoric that's being shown. I think it's a systematic thing to destroy the Black family. Mm. And we kind of bring it down to a very elementary level with disagreements and arguments and 6 figures, 6 feet, 6-pack. That's what I keep hearing, and all this other stuff that I hear young people say. I hear this from my mentees and things of that nature, both men and women. But is there a different generational viewpoint? Well, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing that's going on now that wasn't going on 1,000 years ago. I think the disconnect is that most people don't understand how to love one another. And after 28 years of marriage, I don't want to give the impression we never had bad arguments. There were times we talked about getting divorced. I'm very transparent with people. There were many arguments that my wife and I had. But in my humble opinion, the secret to our longevity is forgiveness. And we forgive each other because we love each other. You know what I mean? And I wish that young men and young women would not just throw away. If you really love somebody, when you're 25, 26, life is different when you're 55. You don't see things in the same way when you're younger. But I assure you, when you get older and something happens to you or you get sick, be it man or woman, you're going to want someone there with you.
Right.
And unfortunately, if you continue to destroy each other and not respect one another, particularly, what I've learned from my wife is this. It has everything to do with how she feels. Okay?
Break that down.
Yeah, yeah. What it has how a woman feels is everything to them. Even when we don't understand it. You dig? You be like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? I'm being real with you. And she's in the room with us, so I'm sure there's cameras right there. She's right here. She can hear me talking. Like I'm trying to say something. Nah, that's not the case at all. But everything to do with how they feel. And I think as a man, you have to learn to manage that. Their emotions, their feelings. I'm not saying being stoic and don't feel, but I've learned what works for us. She likes to hold hands. She likes when I'm affectionate towards her, and just like we like what we like as men, you did? And so it's kind of, that door swings both ways, but I feel bad for young people. I really do. I feel terrible for you guys, men and women. I feel horrible.
Why?
Because at the end of the day, it's not good to be by yourself. Period. I don't care how much bread you make, where you live at, the kind of car you drive. That's all cool, you know what I'm saying? I got a nice whip, all that. The crib, the house, all that. Oh, man, but what it mean if you ain't got nobody to share it with? I mean, someone that's really down for you, too. Anybody can go out here. Maybe you go out here and hook up with a chick, go meet some dude. How y'all say, blow your back out? You can do all that. You can do all that nonsense. I'm just being real with you. But if you don't, that's and excuse my curtness, but we
I love it.
Let's just be real. And see, the downside to young people, old people, I love young people, is because older people forget what it's like to be young. And younger people have no idea what it is to mature to a certain point in their life. It's weird. When I was young, I couldn't wait to be 16 to drive. I couldn't wait to be 18. I couldn't wait to be 21 so I can drink. Now I'm 55. I wish I was 18 again. It's deep, man. It's crazy, bro. I'm telling you the truth. But what else, not to get off base with that, but the point being, you know, if you lucky enough to find a woman that love you, I mean that really love you. If she's screaming to you about money, I understand we need money to live. You feel me? We need money to live. You got to pay your bills. You got to pay your mortgage, your car payment, water bill, gas bill, car insurance, cell phone, groceries. Believe me, I know. You know, you dig what I'm saying?
You're paying some bills.
I'm paying some bills, believe me. And my wife is educated, has a master's degree and bachelor's degree, and she hasn't worked in 25 years.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying? She's an educated woman, but by God's grace and mercy, she hasn't really had to. I've been able to hold her down, but at the same time, she's been the type of woman that, well, she's earned so much from me. You know, women respect fidelity, be faithful. Men respect loyalty.
Can you, whoa. Hold on.
I hope you got that.
Hold on. Say that one more time.
Women respect fidelity, be faithful to me. You know, men respect loyalty.
What's the difference between those two?
Both of them are challenging. It's hard for a man to be faithful to a woman. I've often told my wife, there's nothing you can do to keep me faithful to you. It's a choice that I make. There's nothing you could do. Why would you worry yourself sick about me going to do something when you can't control me? You know, and I think that us being young in our marriage, we had to grow. And the way you do that is to constantly having great effective communication. You got to keep chopping it up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of women want you to be honest, but they can't handle the truth. I'm telling you the truth. And I would tell my wife all the time, you know, there's nothing you could do to make me be faithful to you. You can cook, you can clean. You ever hear a chick say, I did everything for him, and he still did it?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not that those things don't have merit and weight, but the choice is his.
Right.
A man has to become to it where you have some moral compass. You develop a conscience. You understand what I'm saying to you? You know, you know, you have to deny your nature, what you want to do.
Right.
I'm just being real with you.
Right.
You know, and I would tell my wife, and I would work around a bunch of women, you know, beautiful women. But, you know, as I've learned, it's not worth destroying your home. You know, and I would say to a woman, you could destroy your man by your disrespect. If you disrespect him, loud talk him, treat it like he less than a man, you know, cuss him out, broke ass, bitch ass. I hear it all, bro. You know, you destroying that man. Men don't see love the way women do. We need respect. That's how we view love. If you respect me, you know what I mean? That's why the first time two brothers about to get into it, hey man, I ain't gonna let you what? Disrespect me. Think about it. You know, if you having an argument with your woman and she talking to this, you know, being a little loud with you, whatever the case, you say, listen, I ain't gonna let you what? Disrespect me. And all she wanted from you was what? Well, I want, do you love me? See what I'm saying? Love and respect. It's love and respect. So I tell a lot of women, female mentees that I have, yo, what your man really want, number one, above all things, is respect. You got to respect them. Men need that. We do. We need that. We do it even on the block, in the street. It's all about what?
Respect.
Respect. It is. You know. Then you hear somebody say, show me some love. Then you hear that aspect of it. But the first thing you hear is the respect piece. Now with the beautiful sisters and queens, it's about the love. They need the flowers. They need you to tell them that they're beautiful.
Right.
They're young women. And really what helped me was having a daughter.
Okay. Break that down.
Well, you get to see things from a different perspective. When I was a young man, I used to be up in the strip club all the time. No different than any other brother. Strokers, pinups, goosebumps, you name it, I was there. You know, the man you see today is not the man I was 20 years ago. That's the whole process of being able to grow. You know, not become stagnant. You know, you can remember when you were 14, I'm sure. Yeah, but it will seem like yesterday. The next thing you know, you're going to be 50, and it's going to seem like yesterday, but you're not going to be the same person you are today. And so that's the growth process, the maturation process. And going back to your original question, that's what hurts a lot of us in relationships, because we're not willing to go through the growth process. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it is what it is. So, but having a daughter,
Sound like it's some stress there.
It's eye opening. I'll tell you a real true story.
Mm-hmm.
I was at one of the clubs one night, and I was out with my boys, drinking my Coronas, doing what we do, kicking it. And a young lady who came and gave me a dance, and man, I'm not trying to sound all crazy, but that voice, that speak to you sometime in your head, it said, "Yo, that's somebody's daughter. How would you feel if they looked at your daughter that way?" I haven't been back to a club since. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not hating on nobody, you dig? Mm-hmm. Do your thing. I did my dirt, you feel me? Mm-hmm. But that was an epiphany, a moment of clarity for me, because it was true. It was just the truth. That's someone's child. And now that you have one, a daughter, and she's growing up and becoming a young woman, and you're seeing her go through these whole things and changing physically, and now you up here drinking with your boys, throwing a few dollars out there, like this is manhood, if you will. Not that I didn't enjoy myself, because I did. I don't want to sound hypocritical,
right?
But again, that maturation process,
right?
Nah, this not me anymore,
right?
That's all.
Can we talk about your upbringing too? One of the things you were talking about was your mother and your pops, and like how school was difficult. Can you talk about that too? Because I know people see this polished,
right,
wise,
right. Well, let's keep it real. Mm-hmm. To tell you about my family, I love my mom and dad dearly, with all my heart, man. That's my mom's. You feel me? Mm-hmm. My mom struggled with some drug addiction. Pop struggled with some alcohol. Mm-hmm. You see, I'm tall. I'm 6'9".
Right.
I wasn't in an environment that was conducive for learning. And of course, if you're dealing with those challenges, you're dealing with drugs, you're dealing with alcoholism, you're dealing with arguments, you're dealing with the yelling, the fussing, the screaming. And on top of that, the environment I was in. I didn't grow up in no suburb. I was in the city.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I put it to you like this: pimp on the corner, drug dealer across the street, fried chicken place right there, church and a liquor store, all within 100 yards or 200 yards of each other, and growing up in that environment. Doesn't mean there wasn't love there. Doesn't mean there weren't good people there. But that was the environment I was in. And this is when they was, sending you out to suburban areas to go to school, and it was a challenge.
Right.
And they wound up placing me in special education. Obviously, I'm not dumb.
Right.
But without having good habits where you're taught to study, as opposed to just being taught to survive. Mm. And so those things, in a sense, I don't want to say they hindered me. It actually motivated me. I did a interview one time, and people asked me, "Mr. Johnson, what was your motivation?" I said, poverty. Mm. Not being able to go in the supermarket and buy a box of Apple Jacks because that's what I wanted. Mm-hmm. And not being able to do it. And the only thing that was stopping me, it was economics. Mm-hmm. It was just that simple. Something as simple as a box of cereal. And yet you're seeing Mercedes, BMWs, mansions, and you're looking at what's wrong with me. So those were some very challenging times growing up in that environment. I grew up right next door to the welfare building, directly next door to it. I would come out, go to school, and it would be homeless people sitting on our front stoop. There would be a line of people waiting to get services. And that was my life for a good, maybe from junior high to maybe my 10th grade, my sophomore year in high school. True story, my father and mother wound up breaking up. And, I feel my spirit is saying to tell you, a lot of times people, but I believe it's going to help somebody. I tell you a very profound moment in my life. My mom and dad split. We wound up living with our father. My mom had gotten into some situations. Mm-hmm. And I wound up getting a summer job. This was back in the day. I used to get a summer job, with the county and stuff like that. Yeah. We was delivering lunches. I'm 16 years old. I never forget. I just got my driver's license. I'm delivering lunches in old police cars to certain parts of the city, dropping off, the sandwich, the juice, the orange, and all that. And I pull up in front of this church with a bunch of people over there, and I see my mom's. I see my mom's there. And she was, Terry, that's my name. she called me Terry, and the young lady who was with me, my mom comes up, and obviously she's not in the best shape. But that's still my mom's. You know what I'm saying? And she just was so proud of me. And I was an awkward moment because the young lady who was with me, she was cool. She was always, she was a cool chick, but she how some women kind of have a attitude sometimes, whatever. But after that, she treated me so differently. She had no idea, damn, that's what this dude had to go through. You feel where I'm coming from? This is his life. And you see all the people come up, and people who are strung out on drugs. And of course, we handing out all the sandwiches, and that's my mom's. I'm like, yo, get whatever you want. You know what I mean? Just, yo, take it. But it was a very, very profound moment for me.
Right.
Very difficult to deal with. And more importantly, it was extremely difficult to leave her there.
Right. Right.
That it really affected me in a lot of ways. And, a lot of times I realized I'm not the only one who's ever dealt with some type of tragedy or drama or trauma or whatever. But, going through that as a young man, it hurt a lot. It was very difficult because we didn't always live that way. And then to see what happens, what are the ill effects of drugs? What are the ill effects of a broken home? What happens when you tear your family apart?
Right.
What can really happen?
Right.
You know what I mean? Everybody's like, do you. Sometimes doing you will destroy others. You know what I mean?
Oh, my Lord. Can you say that again?
Sometimes doing you will destroy others. And not really recognizing the effect of what your decision has on other people. And I don't know, if my mom and dad really understood that the decisions that they made, how it would affect their sons.
Right.
It was just, it was 3 boys,
Right.
Yeah, so, but again, they did lay a good foundation. There was a work ethic instilled, work and do that type of thing. But again, I agree with that to a point.
Right.
Because we're taught to work. And many of us work and don't have very much to show for it.
Right.
Right. So, hard work does not constitute success. However, there's no substitution for effort. So just because you tell somebody to work hard doesn't mean they're going to be successful. I'm sure you know some people who worked hard their entire lives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, you look at any major city, the people will say, yeah, we worked hard, and yet they're still struggling. Yet they're still in financial, crisis or whatever the case might be. Now, again, I'm not saying you don't work. I'm going to make that crystal clear. But hard work within itself does not constitute success. If one would disagree with me, we'll ask all those athletes that don't make it to the NFL. All of them worked hard, I'm sure. They hit the gym, they hit the weights. All the brothers that went to play ball, a lot of them don't
make it.
They don't make it, but you never see that side of it. You just see the draft.
For the 60 or however many people that get drafted in the NBA, there's probably at least 600. At least. And that's modest.
That's modest. So again, I think one of the things I had to learn was to look at the world for what it is, not for how I want it to be. And a lot of us look at the world for how we want it to be as opposed to how it truly is.
What do you mean by that? Break that down.
Well, I think that when you tell people to just go to school, get a college degree, and that everything, and get married, everything is going to be okay. That's not true. If that was the case, why was the student loan case in front of the Supreme Court? People are in extreme debt. I'm not saying they should not be held liable for their debt, but at the end of the day, if you can give a country $600 billion or $600 million for a war and your own citizens can't pay their student loan debt, something's wrong with that picture. But because a lot of us are just ill-informed, we don't take politics and those type of things seriously. They're going to do what they're going to do. But, just to tell people, if you get married and you tell a man, happy wife, happy life, it's bullshit. That's not true. There should be happy spouse, happy house. You both have to be happy. You feel me? But if you make a man, you bring him down to all he is a paycheck. That's the whole thing. I hear people say you're supposed to provide and protect. Well, you can't provide and protect what you can't control.
What do you mean by that?
I think that unfortunately society has made it to where, what do they call it, toxic masculinity? Which I think is ridiculous in my humble opinion. I've never heard of such a thing. I think at the end of the day, you cannot. Let me give you an example. Say, for instance, you work at a McDonald's. Okay, you're the manager. All right. So the manager means you're responsible for everything going on in the facility, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the owner, I can't hold, you're the manager, and I say you're responsible for everything that goes on in here, but you can't tell anybody what to do. Or you set up for success or failure.
I'm gonna fail.
You're going to fail. Why? Because you're given all the responsibility with no authority. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we must understand when I say authority, I'm not talking about overbearing and dominating an individual. But if my wife is here in the room with me, who's more equipped to protect who?
Right. You.
I am. So if I'm the protector and the provider, let's keep it real. You see, so I've been given this responsibility, but you can't give that man that responsibility and he has no authority in his home. You see, it doesn't work that way.
You got to say that one more time, because I'm telling you, I'm going to clip this, and I know for a fact there's going to be some conversation. And I just want them to hear it from you one more time.
What I'm saying is you can't give a man responsibility without authority. You can't, it's the same with a woman. You can't tell a woman she's responsible for raising the children and she doesn't have the provisions for it. You understand? See, we get caught up in words so much that we miss the meaning of it. See, somebody might say, who starts a conversation, what do you mean authority? Well, think about it. When you're a mother and you tell your children what to do, you have authority over those children, right? But you can't hold her. If she don't take care of her children, doesn't Child Protective Service come in to try to take her babies from her? Because she was given what? The responsibility. See? But so you can't give her that responsibility without giving her the authority of the title mom. So when mom says something, what we supposed to do?
I'm supposed to do it.
You supposed to do it. Now let's move over to husband.
Right.
So when husbands ask or suggest something, what should she do? You should do it. That's called working together. You're a family. You're a team. You see? You're a team. There's a natural order to things. People can say what they want, and I really don't care. I got mine. Me and my wife married 30 years. I ain't going nowhere. She ain't going nowhere. But I'm trying to give you practical applications for you to have a successful relationship. At the end of the day, listen, I don't think most women want to work.
You know?
Nah.
Say that again.
They don't want to work, man. Think about it. See, I've been in the workplace. Let me tell you something. What intelligent person want to go out there and work?
I don't think there's many people that actually want to work.
No, but see, they've been convinced that that's what it is. That's what it is. And I get my career and my job and all this other stuff. I feel you. It's cool. Like I said, my wife is educated, has 2 degrees. But at the end of the day, you know, I had to work. No one wants to get out there and have to sit in traffic for 90 minutes going to work every day, back and forth. You leave one box to get in a box to go sit in a box. I'm going to say this to you again. You leave one box, which is your home, to sit in another box, which is your vehicle, to go in the office, which is another box. And you sit there for 8 hours and get back in that box to come home to go sit in another box. That's what you're doing. That's why the whole thing, think outside the box. You can never think outside the box to a certain extent. You're constantly in a box. You're constantly in a certain way of doing things. And people don't understand that. Think about all these terms you hear all the time. Think outside the box. I often tell my wife, there is no box. All these things have just been repeated to us, and then we tend to believe it. I'll prove it to you. Finish the common phrase. Now, we just met a couple of days ago, not too long ago, right?
Yeah.
Finish the common phrase. No pain.
No gain.
Anything in life worth having, you have to work what for it?
Hard for it.
Now, why do you know that? I know that, and the people listening know that. Because you've been programmed to know that. You've been programmed to know that from the time you were young. They started telling you, if you weren't anything, you're going to have to work hard for it. If no pain, no gain. We all keep hearing the same stuff. And then wonder why things aren't different. I am not sitting here, let me be clear, telling any man that you're supposed to rule over a woman and treat her badly. I am not saying that. I am simply suggesting you cannot give a man the responsibility of providing and protecting for you and he has no authority over you. That's ridiculous. That's like telling your children, regardless of what my mom tells me, I'm going to do what the hell I want to do. That's crazy. And it's where you have a society where there's no moral law, where they take evil for good and good for evil, or bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Everything's turned what?
Upside down.
Upside down. So now what you have is people fighting each other. When I watch YouTube and I deal with my young people, all I see is everyone arguing, no solutions. Everyone to say something that sounds slick or sounds good. And I hear people like, damn, ooh, man, that's irrelevant to me because none of that solves your problem.
Right.
What are you going to do to solve it? At the end of the day, what are you going to do to solve the problem? No woman, I could be mistaken. In my opinion, I'm not saying you have to be Susie home housemaker sitting in the house baking cookies. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying to you is people play the lottery so they don't have to work. People playing Powerball, Mega Millions or whatever, hoping that they hit it so that they can do what? Not have to work and worry about their bills. You know what I'm saying? And I go for men and women. But it's unfortunately because, again, you can't give a man or a woman. Let me be clear about that. Because I know a lot of times just being married, people hear what they want to hear, not necessarily what's said.
Right. That's very true.
You know what I mean? They hear what they want to hear, not what you're saying. Let me be crystal clear. So when you clip that, make sure you put that in there. Just like a woman, she has authority over her children.
Yeah.
So much so that if she is found to be neglectful in that duty as a mother, the state can come in and take her children. And why would they do that? Because we giving you the responsibility to raise them. Now let's move that next over to the man. You hear them all say, I want a man to provide and to protect. I tell all young women, y'all say it's 50-50. All right, you think it's really like that, right? You really think it's 50-50? Let me put it to you like this. You land in the bed, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Your alarm goes off. Your children sleep, you and your husband in the bed, you and your mans, it don't even matter. Your girl and her man. You hear someone downstairs rummaging through your home. If it's 50-50, send a woman down there. That ain't gonna happen, is it? Nah. So your natural instinct. Natural. What's natural? No big deal. What's natural? It's for him to go down there and what? See what's popping, right? Who's she gonna go see about?
The kids.
See how it's just natural. It's just natural. She gonna go see about her babies. Now, if they get past her man, she would fight to the death to protect her babies, would she not?
She would.
It's just natural. The reason you having this chaos because most people, particularly young people, are going against
the natural.
What's natural. If you get a piece of wood and you get some sandpaper and you go against the grain, you destroy the wood. But if you go with the grain or go with the flow, it smooths it out. It's real simple. Such is life.
We're going to have to let that sit for a little, Mr. J. I think we need some time to let it. You said a lot just now. The audience needs to process. I like to give the audience little breaks in the between when we have wisdom being said.
I hear that said a lot, Mr. J. Man. You give us a lot to digest.
Yes, you did.
But I hope it made sense to you.
No, you don't have to hope. It did.
Okay, good.
It made a lot of sense.
I'm glad. It made
a lot of sense. I don't know about everybody else.
Right.
You know, everybody has their own ears, but for me, that makes a lot of sense. I love the way you broke it down with the wood analogy. Right, when you go against the grain, you destroy it, but when you go with it,
and let me tell you, because I hear men say you want a woman to submit. I can tell you how you can get any woman to submit to you. I'm going to give you some free game.
What's up?
Love.
They wasn't trying to hear that one.
Love, man. You have to love a woman. You see, there's a difference between love and care. Let me explain to you.
I was just going to ask you.
A woman have children and she cares about her children being happy. You understand what I'm saying to you?
I get what you're saying.
I care, it's my baby's birthday. I really want to see them smile. They care about that. See, that's care. You can love someone and don't care for them. You can have a brother or a sister that you love them, but y'all don't get along. You understand what I'm saying to you? Love, care. Women need to be cared for. They need love. Men need to be respected for doing so. Just like they'll love their children, you know, and go out their way for them, won't they? You know, that's why mamas is such high praise. Because moms will do all these things, you know. Respect to the moms. Real talk, man. I love my mom, regardless of her challenges. I still see my mom, you know what I mean? My pops, that's my man. You know what I mean? He hit me up on a lot of game too. But the point I'm trying to make to you, that love, care, respect, communication, affection, being able to listen, critical thinking, all these things come in time. You're not born that way. Jesus, no. You become that way over a period of time. But if you don't have an example of that, if you're not in an environment where you might need therapy. You might need someone that you can really talk to about the things that are troubling you, how you grew up, what you saw growing up, how I saw my dad relate to my mom, how I saw my mom relate to my father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then you grow up and you thinking that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
I had to break a lot of that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I had to break that, bro.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Right. You mentioned a lot of things that you went through as a child, as a teen, as a young man, growing up with your parents,
Mm-hmm.
like them, splitting, and how that impacted you. How did you get to a point where you're able to comfortably talk about it, because that's a whole thing in itself. But two, you also have a good relationship, right? You're able to speak highly of your parents.
You know what, man? When you're young, you don't know nothing, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being real with you. When you were young, we think we know every damn thing. We really do. I was just so different. Well, no different, man. When you get older, man, and you have children, and you see the world just different. You just grow, How was I able to do it? Number one, forgiveness. I forgive my mom and dad, man. Hey, you know what, man? Peep game. Your parents ain't nothing but older kids, man. We don't know every damn thing, bruh. We hoping that we giving you good advice and good guidance so you don't have to go through the shit we went through. That's the truth. Don't take it away. I'm not taking away from being parents now, but I'm just simply saying that's the truth. You're just an older child.
Right.
You hoping that the advice that you're giving, that they take it. But when I got older, I didn't know what it was to pay bills until I got out on my own. Then I said, well, Mom, thank you. Dad, thank you. You know what I mean? Because you living rent free, bro. You just eating the groceries, doing you, going to bed, using the toilet paper, taking a shower, brushing your teeth. You're not thinking, you're not in the real world. You're living with your parents. But when you step out into the real world, and they don't care about how you feel. The electric company just say, we want our money on this day. And if you don't give us this money, we're going to cut your power off.
Right.
And next you know, you calling your mom and dad, tell her, yo, listen, they're about to turn the power off. But again, you don't recognize these things until you get out there and you experience these things. And so what they want me to do it, man, real rap. I'll tell you a real funny story. I was in the military. I was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
I didn't even know you was in the military.
Yeah, I'm a veteran. I was in the service for 8 years.
Appreciate you. Thank you for your service.
Oh, no doubt. Appreciate the compliment. Appreciate that. Listen, I'm a PFC. I'm struggling. I called Pops.
What's a PFC, first of all?
Private first class.
Okay.
I was PFC. I just got in the military. And I'm money tight. I called my father. I'm like, yo, Dad, I need some money. No, I said, I need some money. That's what I said, Dad, I need some money. I'm very leery about asking my father for anything. I was probably 22. And he said, son, is the water on? I said, yes. He said, you got food in the house? I said, yes. He says, electric on? I said, yes. He hung up. True story, man. He hung the phone up. Click. I'm like, yo, Pops. He hung the phone up, man. I never forget it. I never forget it. But my Pops, man, he gave me some rules, and he was just here about a month or so ago for a visit. My father's 75 now, and man, that's my man. We cooler than a fan. You know what I mean? I love my father dearly. My mom's passed on, God rest her soul, but Pops come for a visit, and I like to share these rules with people, and hopefully they'll get something from it. He would always say to me, son, know what's true, know what's not true. Know what's real, know what's not real. Know who you can depend on and know who you can't depend on. But always remember, you can depend on yourself. You can depend on yourself to get the job done. So don't ever let who down? Yourself. Don't ever let yourself down. So hopefully someone can take something from that. And because those rules, those things actually guided me along the way. Yeah, making some good career defining moment decisions, if you will.
Yeah. What, man? So we had the reason why you and I even connected in the first place is because I'm on Instagram a lot. I've been going through my spiritual journey a lot more this year. Guy has been pulling me closer to him. I guess he decided that it was time for me to kind of, brush up. So I've been seeing a lot more content geared around, like, mostly my timeline will be around like mental health, men's mental health, that kind of thing. Slowly and gradually, as I, started to dedicate more time and to spend it with God and the Word, I started getting more content around God, the word, prayer, that kind of thing. And I saw your piece of content on you have to develop a prayer life. And I had that in my DMs because normally I send content to myself in my DMs before I post it on the page. And then I'll go on like a Wednesday and I'll schedule out content for the next week. So I had that in my DMs for like 3-4 weeks probably.
Okay.
And I kept looking at it. I'm like, man, every time I post about God, these dudes just, there's some people in the community that just, I don't know what God did to them. Like, yo, bro, you here. So obviously, he ain't finished with you, but you seem to have a whole completely different understanding of how this process works. And they so mad. So sometimes that gets me down, right?
Right.
That gets me down from like, it makes me not want to post certain content, but I decide, I don't care. This is great content. They need to hear this, right?
Good
so I posted it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you reached out to me and you said, I think you said, thank you for sharing. Normally people don't do that. So I said, oh, okay, cool. So I said, so we started having a conversation. I said, where you at? You said Atlanta. I said, oh, I'm going to be in Atlanta. Look at how the Lord works.
Look how he works.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And one of the things I really am big on is not being in friction with God, right? So when things are aligning, I don't go against what's being aligned. So once you said Atlanta, I said, okay, so obviously you want me to have a conversation with Mr. J. And then we started to talk. We had a precursor conversation before this episode.
Great conversation. Yes, we did.
And normally I don't do that either. But you were like,
I saw it.
Yeah, normally I don't do that either.
I
But
saw it.
you know what's so interesting? I used to do precursor conversations before every podcast episode, right? To get to know the guests, kind of get a better feel. But once we started moving to in person, I realized people don't really want to come in person and do a conversation beforehand. They rather just sit here and plop on the couch and me have a list of questions and stuff. But you were like, yo, I want to do a precursor. Yeah. So we had a precursor conversation. And it's like, it's hard to explain the conversation we had because I've had conversations like that in the past where it's like somebody's like reading me.
Right.
And I'm like, how the hell do you know this?
Right.
But you kept pulling stuff. You kept saying this, and you said it today too. You're like, the Spirit is telling me. And you're like, the Spirit is telling me that you're a worrier. I'm like, man, if you don't leave me alone, man, how do you know all this? Well, right? And you just started bringing all of these different like scriptures and things that was really helpful. And it almost brought me to tears. I don't know if you saw that.
I told my wife that.
Yeah, I almost cried in the concept. I ain't crying.
It's all good.
I'm not crying. Listen, as much as I talk about mental health and therapy, I ain't there yet.
It's all good.
I'm not there yet, Mr.
It's
J.
all good. But you know, it wasn't like Mr. J was trying to make that happen either.
Nah, I know.
But that's that power of that spirit. See, I'm going to keep it real with you. I talk to a lot of cats, man. They break down all the time. All the time. All the time, bro. So I'm talking about hard. Man, what do y'all say? That's him. Be with Mr. J, all the truth come out. So I'm not, you know, saying we go around crying all the time, but nah, man, I done had that happen many a times to your brother. So, and it's not like I'm not, I told you, I'm not one of these people, you know, God telling me this, I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not built that way. But I could read the energy of people because at the end of the day, it's something called intuition.
We gotta talk about that, please.
You know, when we look at the word intuition and you take the ishin, the ION off of it, to be in tune with what?
Myself.
Yeah, with yourself, but also the music that's being played, which is life. Most of us are out of tune. You know what I mean? That's why they don't have no peace. They can't sleep. You know, whatever. It's a lot of things. I don't want to make it an oversimplification. But a lot of us need to be in tune. A lot of us never get in tune because we never find ourselves. You're always trying to be somebody else. We try to, especially in the black community. I mean, come on, man. If you speak well in the black community, you a sucker, square, Oreo, house nigga, Uncle Tom, not realizing your ancestors died for you to even be able to do what we doing here today. You know, it was a time, it was crazy here in this country, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just being real with you. And as far as the whole God thing, man, you see I post a lot of content about God. I've been on Instagram. This is our 3rd month. I'm approaching 50,000 followers.
I told you that's really good. You didn't even know the context of that. You
I
was
have
like,
no context. I didn't have any expectations. The only reason I did it is because my mentees kept telling me, Mr. J, you need to get on Instagram. People need to hear the things you talk about. They kept telling me for years. Not just, this wasn't just recent. I mean, they would just keep hitting me in the head. Mr. Johnson, man, you got to get on Instagram, Mr. J. Mr. J, you need to be on TikTok. Man, I ain't with that. You know what I'm saying? Real rap. I wasn't. You know what I mean? I'm flying below the radar. And then one of my mentees was like, Mr. Johnson, you changed my life. That's what he told me. Dude out of Israel. I have mentees all over the world. Israel, the United Kingdom, here in the States. You know what I mean? From all different backgrounds, to be honest with you. Yeah, real rap. You know what I'm saying? And it just, he flew all the way over here from Israel. Yes, he did.
What was this?
When did it get? Earlier this year.
Wow. Okay.
He flew over. I have an event where I bring all of my mentees together every year.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, I'm coming. You know, and he came and we all, you know, we got to have dinner and I spent a few days with them. It's really a cool thing too. We have a great time. And everybody, you know, whether you black, Israeli, white, I have a very diverse group of clients. And they're all there together. And I think we hung out at Top Golf, went to Fogo de Chao, we ate good. And it was a real good experience. But it was really him, because he's like, man, you changed my life. You helped me be a better husband. You helped me be a better father. And he said, Mr. J, you're doing a disservice because, you know, people really need to hear the things you got to say. I said, all right, cool. I'm going to try it. That's real rap. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try it. I had a friend of mine. He had a studio. And he was like, Mr. J, you come shoot in my studio. He was one of my mentees. He had a big studio and, you know, that's what he does for a living. I mean, he's doing well at it too. And we go in, we shoot. And I mean, I say this with a humble spirit. You know, these guys have a great deal of respect for me. So they're making sure, Mr. Johnson, you need it. It was really just weird. I just wasn't used to it. But we go, we do the little interview, and he edits it. And he that one day, this was about 3 months ago, they did the Instagram account, the YouTube, and the TikTok all on the same day. Mr. J, we need this, whatever. They put it out. The guy calls me like an hour later. He's like, Mr. Johnson, you got 14,000 views. Whatever. I didn't know, man.
Right.
I had no idea, bro. None.
14,000 views.
In an hour. Next thing you know, Mr. Johnson, you got 60,000 views. I'm like, is that good? Mr. Johnson, you don't understand. You killing it. Next thing you know, Mr. Johnson, you got 400,000 views. And then I'm looking at the followers and the analytics. You know, you had 4 million impressions. And we've been out 3 months now. We got close to right at 5 million views and 3.5 million impressions. And I think we're right at hitting 47,000 followers and still trending upwards. We got 2 videos. One has 1.2 or 1.3 million. Another one is hitting right at 1.1 million. And there's others, you know, 80,000, 200,000, whatever. But I didn't understand the context of it all. You know, I didn't understand that. I guess you're doing very well.
Not I guess.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah, well.
You are doing very well.
You're doing very well.
Just for context, for people that aren't into social media, when we first started Express Yourself Black Man, the page, the platform, in a year, we didn't hit 47,000. All right, so this is just, I told you this already.
Yeah.
So just for context, right, we hit 44,000 at the end of the year, right? That was like maybe that was at least 365 posts. At least.
We have 53 posts and we're at 47,000.
Right. So just to give you that context so you are aware, right? Like that is an insane. And the way you could break it down too is you can do like followers divided by the number of posts. That lets you know like per post how many followers am I gaining.
Then right? I guess I'm killing it.
You're killing it.
I guess I'm killing it.
Killing it is not even the term.
I guess I'm killing
right?
it.
And so so the reason why I wanted to mention all of that is because one of the things I think is very important to talk about is your faith, your belief. One of the things that you were talking to me about pouring into me, honestly. I don't think talking to is the right word. Like my innate ability to get something done. Can you speak to that? Because you gave 2 different scriptures that you wanted me to read. That you were talking about.
There was Psalms 82 and John chapter 10. And let me be clear, because I'm sure people are going to see this. I don't want it to get hit with religious dogma. Religion separates people. I'm talking about the God in you. I want to put that in its context. Now, why I make reference to that book is because regardless of one's perception of the book, it doesn't negate the fact that there is knowledge and wisdom in the book. I'm going to say that to you again, regardless of one is a Catholic, my Hebrew Israelite, I have a brother who's Israelite, I love him dearly, you know, cousins that are Muslims, everybody got their own different belief system. Cool. But it doesn't take away from the fact of whatever your perception is of that book, it doesn't take away from the fact that there is wisdom and knowledge in the book. And that's what I want your viewers to get, the wisdom and the knowledge. Now, Psalms 82 says basically that you are gods, that we are gods. And it also says that in John chapter 10, verse 30 on down, where the Messiah says God and him are one. And I was sharing that with you because most of us know who we are, but we don't know what we are. You know, we don't know what are we. You've been told you're a human being. That's what you've been told. You've been told that you're an African American, which that's a whole nother subject. That's another topic for discussion. I don't agree with that term whatsoever. So, but in essence, you're a soul that's having this physical experience in this realm of existence. We all came from somewhere and we're all going somewhere. This is just inevitable. And I think that if you believe in good, nothing exists in this world without its counterpart. You can't have day without night, rich without poor, health without sickness, good without evil. Evil has done a phenomenal job of convincing people that good is evil. How can it be wrong to learn a moral compass or a moral code of conduct? How can that be a bad thing? But if you've been taught, if it feels good, do it, regardless of the moral aspect of it. You know what I mean? And so the scriptures I was wanting you to focus on, Philippians 2:5 says this: let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, that even though he was in the form of a man, did not consider it robbery to make himself equal to God. I mean, dig that. Let that mind be where? In you. That you are what? Equal to who? God. To God. Now, people notice I didn't say you are above God. Never said that. But it's like your children. If you have children one day and you have a business, your children could never become greater than their father. You can never become greater than the creator who created you, but you can become equal to it. You see what I'm saying? So let that mind be in you. And then what are you? Well, according to those scriptures, because you go to the scriptures, read that stuff for yourself. Those who are listening, go read it for yourself. You'll see Mr. Johnson's telling us the truth. It does say that. The Messiah said, God and I are one. So if that's what he said, then that's what he said out of his mouth. And those were the words coming out of his mouth. That were the words that existed in his mind. Then let that mind be where? In you. That's where you see a lot of times when years ago when I was growing up, a lot of my boys, when I went to Morgan State University, a lot of brothers from New York, they would say, what up, God? What up, son? Whatever the case. If you know a lot of the history behind that, outside the whole 5% thing, this, that, and the third, they were calling you basically the truth, what you are. According to that book, you are a God. Whether they call it small g or whatever, that's all semantics. It doesn't take away the fact that's what you are. I mean, look at it. We're in the studio, right? Look at that big flat screen. Can a Doberman picture make a flat screen? I mean, really think about it. These lights in this studio, how did it happen? Did it just happen by osmosis? Or did someone think it up? Don't you see? We're capable of creating whatever we can imagine. That makes us gods. Someone created a nuclear bomb. It didn't always exist. Someone had a thought, what if I took this person's heart who's clinically dead and put it in that person? I wonder if they would live. I mean, who thinks that shit up? Where does that come from? Really think about that. How, you know what? I'm going to build a car to where it just runs off electricity. Could you imagine showing this to your great-great-grandparents? Could you imagine showing them your smartphone, being in the field in the middle of the night and turn on the light? They would call you a sorcerer or a witch. Not realizing it's just what? Technology. Really think about that. Everything you see around you was once a thought. Name any creature that has the capacity to do that outside of man. Whatever we think about, we can literally create it. We could do, you were up top, I'm in Atlanta, me and you actually talking to each other face to face and we're thousands of miles away. How did that happen? Who does that? We do. We have the capacity to create whatever we want. But unfortunately, we use that capacity to create evil. We create bad. There's no, you know what? There's no reason for people to be hungry, homeless, or sick. None of that. It's more than enough medicine, more than enough food. We throw food away every day. You know we do. Right? You know why everybody's hungry, sick, and all that other stuff's going on? Greed. You know, real rap, man. But no one wants to talk about the moral problem in this country. This country is screwed, bro. When you look at society for what it is, when you can hop in your car and you see people on the highway standing there with signs, begging for money. I'm sure some people out there hustling so they can get their dope money, whatever. But some people are really messed bad off. And you talk, you know, they bring people into the country and you don't even take care of your own. I ain't hating on those people coming, whatever. At the end of the day, we have a heart problem. You know what I'm saying? We got a heart problem, man. You got brothers that hate each other just to hate each other. You know? It's crazy. I mean, and you could become so used to hate, that's all you know. You can't feel anything other than that. I prove it to you, the significance of a father. Anytime you watch any prison documentary, you holler at those brothers in the cell, all of them say this one thing: I grew up without who?
Father.
But now a father, every time you turn on TV, they make the father look like old suck ass.
What you mean?
You don't ever see him on TV commercials. He's weak. He's soft. He's effeminate. He's not masculine whatsoever. I mean, it's the truth. I'm not making it up. You can see it all the time. People, you know, maybe this might not be the right format to say that. I don't know. But I'm telling you what I see.
Nah, that's good.
Yeah, they don't show you strong men anymore. When the last time you seen a strong black man on TV? Point noted. Outside of an athlete. Tell me. Isn't it that? It's buffoonery, it's comedy, or they're dressed up as women? It's the truth. I'm just telling the truth. I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody, but I'm just simply saying, when's the last time you seen a brother articulate, dressed, representing himself in a way that someone would say, I'm proud that that's my brother? You're not, man. You know what you're going to see? Buffoonery, cross-dressing. You know what I'm saying? That's what you into. Do your thing, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't tripping on nobody. You know, I got my own personal belief systems, and what I believe ain't for everybody to know. You know, I ain't trying to have no smoke with nobody just to have smoke. You feel me? Life's too short for that. But at the end of the day, if you look at society as a whole, what do we see that represents us? You know, love and hip hop. Come on, man. That type of behavior. I can go to YouTube. I used to love rap growing up. I see a lot of battle raps now. You know what I'm saying? The way they ain't even battle rap. They're fighting words, bro. The disrespect is at all. It's beyond belief, man. You know what I mean? And we just digest it. We eat the gruel, man. You know, I tell my wife all the time, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And a lot of the people who we would respect have aged out the system. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan. A lot of your so-called preachers and pastors, they kind of getting older now. The generation behind them, well, we in trouble. Ain't nobody really, I haven't seen anyone that people respect at that level would say, where they would have some major influence over them. The way you live, how you speak, how you dress, the way you carry yourself, how you are as a person overall. You know what I'm saying? If you start looking at society for what it is, we need young thinkers like yourself, man. Like your man's over there. We need that. Listen, man, it's almost non-negotiable at this point. It's needed, man. And that's what I liked about you when I talked to you. I saw it in him. You know, I'm not hating on no, I come off the block. I'm tatted up just like the next man. You just can't see it with the suit. But looking back on it, we need to support brothers such as yourself. I support all my brothers. I'm not anti anyone. I'm just us first.
Right.
Real rap, man. You know what I mean? I done been in rooms many days. I'm the only brother in there. I mean, it's cool. You get to eat at nice restaurants. You know, get the valet and all that. You know what I mean? Eat a $50 steak. Okay, you still gonna shit it out. You know what I mean? Just telling you the truth. You know what I mean? Yeah, I tell people, yeah, you young folks say facts, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to go to the big five? I've been all the five stars. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm former vice president for the entire state of Georgia. You know, might taste a little bit better, but at the end of the day, you go home, you're going to shit that shit out. Just like if you went to Publix and bought you a steak, or Kroger's, or any other, you went to Applebee's, don't make it there. All that stuff is just perception, man. Mm-hmm. And again, you don't understand these things till you get older. Mm. You feel me? Mm-hmm. But as far as your faith and your belief in God, I highly encourage anyone, develop a prayer life, man. I'm not saying you know, walking around 20 times a day praying. No, what I'm saying to you is this. When you woke up this morning, there was no one in your head but you. When you go to bed this evening, there will be no one going to bed but you. If the word teaches you and I that God dwells in the temple of men, this is the temple. You ever hear somebody say they put a gun to his what do they call
temple?
To his temple. This is the temple, not the building. This is the temple. This is the temple that's being referenced, not that building, not the building. Mm-hmm. No, pay attention. Temple. God dwells where? In the temple of men. Now here's the question. Because people say, I'm a child of God. You hear people say, oh, I'm a child of God. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, cool. God is in me. Okay, cool. Well, where is God in you? Is he in your liver? In your kidneys? Your lungs? Where is he exactly in you? He's in your mind. You never heard of someone say, hey man, that person's lost their brain. You hear a person say, that person's lost their mind. See, the brain houses the mind. Now, what's in your mind? The only thing that is in your mind, it is the same thing in everybody else's mind, your own wonderful human imagination. That's why someone can imagine these lights and create it. Or imagine the table, then it becomes reality. Mm-hmm. You imagine coming to meet me, and now we're here. Mm-hmm. So God is in your mind. And most people don't understand, at least in my humble opinion, how you see God is how God relates to you.
Explain that.
Some people see God as a vengeful. Fire and brimstone is going to burn everybody the hell up. Some people see God as a loving, caring God. Some people see God as he doesn't do anything. But think about it. What I hear people say today is speaking things into existence. That's the big thing. Mr. Johnson, you could speak something into existence. You can speak something into existence, Mr. Johnson. Well, they're not wrong, except the words have been changed. The book tells us in the book of Romans, call the thing that is not as though it were. That's the same as speaking something into existence. Mr. Johnson's manifestation and energy. Well, the fact of the matter is, you call it energy, but the book calls it spirit. You call it manifestation, but the book calls it a miracle. You call it meditation, but the book calls it prayer. The only thing is you remove God from it. So it makes it more palatable for everyone to digest it. When you remove God from it. And so you make it all about who? You. But what did the Messiah teach us? It's not I, but God that dwells in me that enables me to do the things that I do. Just like God dwells within you and within me. Whether one believes it or not is of no consequence. It doesn't negate the fact that you're not even in control of your life. You need an alarm clock to wake up. You can't control yourself waking up at all. You hoping that you do. But you think about it in this fullness. A lot of people woke up dead today. But because it hasn't touched you and you don't see it in the forefront of your life, it doesn't really resonate with you. But I guarantee you a husband and a wife went to sleep last night and one of them did not wake up this morning. I guarantee that. You just don't hear about that. You ain't going to hear about that. Nah, so again, I'm not saying you can't speak something into existence. I'm not saying you can't meditate because I believe in meditation. I'm not saying you can't manifest something. But the fact of the matter is, all you've done is remove the word God and replaced it with universe.
So let me ask you this question real quick.
Sure.
Do you believe, you don't believe in like universal laws and all that kind of stuff?
Of course there are universal laws.
Okay.
Yeah, what goes up must have done that. Of course. Yeah, it's the duality syndrome. Night, day, short, tall, fat, skinny, hot, cold. Of course, universal law. But who created that?
God.
Where did that come from?
God.
Your own intellect should tell you nothing happens by osmosis. It just appears out of nowhere. That doesn't make sense, does it?
No.
No. You see, one thing I want you to notice, most people don't know. They believe. I know. There's a difference. Explain. Do you believe your mama love you? Do you know your mom love you?
I know.
So when you know something, it requires no faith.
Mm.
It is a matter of fact. There's nothing anyone could say to sway you from you not believing that your mom loves you. But it's believing that brings you to knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Most people get stuck in believing, and therefore they never know.
Can we just pause, Mr. J?
Sure.
Let's just, like I said, you know, when you go on that and you start bringing all that in there, we just need to give everybody a chance. Give everybody a chance. Yeah. Give everybody a chance to just digest that for a little bit.
Did that make sense to you, I hope?
Yeah, it definitely made sense. I want you to say it again afterward, but let's just give them a second. Whoever's taking notes, take notes. And just let that digest, because you mentioned that to me too. And I think that's very important for us to really understand what that means. So can you break that down one more time?
When I talk with my mentees, many of them believe that they're going to be successful. But I say to them, there's a distinct difference between believing and knowing. I have to give them an example, because all throughout the book, it tells you to believe, right? Mm-hmm. Believe in God. Believe this, believe that. Well, I'm going to break it down a little further. When Lazarus died, that was Christ's right-hand man. That was his boy. Mm-hmm. I'm paraphrasing. Mm-hmm. He dies. He comes, remember, this is why I tell brothers it's okay to cry. Even God wept. Mm-hmm. Saw his boy was dead, he cried. So he says, before he raised him from the dead, he says, talking to God, I only pray out aloud so that they might believe, for I know you hear me. And it resonated with me. Mm. He only did that so that they might believe. But he knew that God heard him. And in that, I learned that most of us don't know, we believe. Mm. And there's a distinct difference between believing and knowing, because you could believe something and it might not be what? True. It might not be true. But when you know something, it requires no belief. I know my mother loved me. Mm-hmm. There's nothing anyone can say that can convince me otherwise. Mm. I know that to be true. You understand? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you know something, there's no ambiguity. There's no gray area. Mm-hmm. You know it to be what? A statement of fact. It's true. So if you know it's true, then why do you have to believe it? You don't, do you? No. It's true. But see, that's why most people fail. Because they believe without ever coming to the knowledge of knowing. Knowing what? Themselves. Mm.
Listen, man, I feel like we're preaching in here today right now. Feel like a Sunday now.
Well, listen, I'm not trying to come across like that.
No. I'm joking.
I'm just saying, when you really think about it, there's a distinct difference between believing and knowing. Mm.
So let me ask you this question. How do you get to, I think you mentioned this, but can you break it down a little bit more? How do you get to knowing? Right? For the man that's listening to this right now, he's like, man, let's just talk specifically about like being successful, right? Because, you know, for us as men, that's as much as as much as it shouldn't be the only thing that's on our minds at this age right now. This is pretty much the only thing that's on our minds is being successful, being able to provide financially. That's a big thing, right? You talked about the men that you mentor believing that they can be successful, but not necessarily knowing. What are some of the things that you feel like you do in those situations, or that some of the things that they can do?
Well, I'm not trying to sound scientific here, but when you understand the psychology of how people think, the mind is like a field. And throughout your life, you ever walk on a path and you could tell other people have walked along the path. That's where everybody walks along the path. I look at the mind like that your mind has been laid these neural pathways of habit, how you continuously think about something. And they form these lines in their conscious and subconscious mind through their belief system. So when Mr. J comes along and says, okay, we're going to develop a new pathway, not a new belief system, a new pathway. And it's no different than if you had a high grass and you wanted to cut through the cut. You can walk across that grass and you can make it through. But if you don't keep walking down that grass, you would never know that there's a path there. It would just look as normal as it would anything else. But if you continuously walk through that grass over and over and over, eventually you start wearing that grass down, it creates a path, right? The grass represents all your old limiting beliefs. The path you're trying to lay is a new way of thinking. So you say, well, how do you get from believing to knowing? It is simple. Be ye transformed through the renewing of your mind. You need a new mind. You need a new way of thinking. You can't get a new body. You're not going to get a new brain, but you can get a new mind. You can renew the way you think. We have the capacity to pretty much learn anything, can't we? If you want to learn Chinese, as difficult as it might be, if you had no other obligations but to sit there and learn Chinese for 8 hours a day, and you did that 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for a year, in a year's time, you'd be speaking Chinese.
That would be very helpful in New York for that Chinese food.
It would be very helpful for that Chinese food. That's right. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
But the point being, notice how you doing it is through something called repetition. You see? They say, so when you have your prayers or your affirmations, you should say them to the point that you believe them. And if you believe them, it's believing that brings you to knowing. So it's not that I hope my prayer will be answered. I know it already is. But most people get stuck in the believing part of it. Begging God for something.
What's the difference between, you just touched on something. Begging God for something. I feel like that's how we're taught to pray.
Well, you've been taught wrong.
Father, please.
Yeah, you've been taught wrong.
So break that down to me. What's your how do you go from not begging? Like, what do you suggest?
Are your parents still alive?
Yes.
They love you? You love them? Have you ever begged them for anything?
No. Maybe when I was younger. Maybe, Yeah.
When I was a child, I thought as a child. I reasoned as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Have you ever begged your parents for anything? No. Why would you beg your Father in heaven? Think about it. You might have disappointed your parents, pissed them off. We're disappointed in you, young man. Your mom, I'm so ashamed. Whatever. You might have been doing something stupid or whatever. And that's part of growing up. But did they still feed you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Was it still water to wash your butt? Did you go in the refrigerator to get something to eat? They just didn't bless you. They just didn't bless you, see. They didn't give you what you wanted. See, come on, see, you got wisdom already. They didn't give you what you wanted. You got wisdom already. They just didn't give you what you wanted. But they still made sure you ate. They still made sure you had toilet paper to wipe your butt with. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. They just didn't bless you. Because you weren't being obedient. You did? See? So why would I got to beg God for something? Why would I do that? That's a slave mentality. That's like begging your slave master to give you some gruel, some grits. Where does it say to beg God for anything? Never said that. Let me say that to those who are listening. If you do that, you've been taught wrong. I used to have that old woe is me mentality. Oh God, please, Jesus, please. Yeah, I used to do that. You know what I got? Nothing. But then when I learned to walk in authority, study to show thyself approved, rightly dividing the word of God in truth. Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I didn't know. I did what my grandmama and grandpop taught me. You see? You have the power to command something into your life. Is someone coming out of the sky booking your flights for you?
No.
Is someone going to your job, doing your job for you? Who's doing it?
Me.
Life is happening to you and through you and for you. Your body is merely an avatar experiencing it.
Mm.
It's the truth. You're going to die. It's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And where do you go?
Well, that's a good question.
No, it's the truth. Where do you go?
Heaven?
Most people, yeah, you will hope to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's an old saying, you know this little indentation we have right here
Yeah.
on our lips? Do you know why we all have that? Does it serve any medical purpose?
No.
Because that's where the angels touch you, that you'll forget why you come here, so that you might complete your assignment. There's much more going on than we realize. Most of us are very trivial in our thoughts. We never stop to think about the gravity of life until it's upon the end.
Mm-hmm.
Even us meeting,
Mm-hmm.
you're a good young man. What's 2 plus 2?
What?
See, you're smart. What did I tell you? Mr. J is what? Wise.
Mm-hmm.
They're not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom will save your life. You're a smart guy. You're going to make good money. You're going to have a great life. I have no doubt about that. But wisdom is what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom is what you should tell them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same thing. Is it wise to smoke cigarettes?
No.
But people do it. Is it wise to be obese and overweight?
No.
But people are.
They're gonna listen, man. Listen, there's a whole this generation, man. Look, there's a whole I don't know if you know about body positivity and all that.
Yeah.
Listen, I ain't gonna knock nobody, but sometimes when you start talking about being obese, people start getting upset.
Listen, we're not trying to upset anyone, and I'm not trying to call out anyone. All I'm simply saying is, we know it's not wise.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so what one will do is negate wisdom and indulge in the ill effect of it, the lack of it, and it enables you to continue to do what you need to do. I lost 75 pounds.
Mm.
That's why I speak to that. When people talk about, what do you know about depression? I was depressed for a while, especially when I was going through the bankruptcy and the foreclosure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't know what depression is, trust me.
All right, I'm interrupting this podcast episode to let you guys know to leave a review on the podcast. Please, 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 if you are listening to this episode and you're finding value in this episode, you're enjoying the conversation, or you've enjoyed a previous episode or conversation, and it's safe to operate your phone right now, please leave us a review. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected Black community, starting with Black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute out of your day to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand the platform even further. So please take a few seconds out of your day. I know you're busy. I understand. I know you're doing a lot, but it will help us greatly if you would just take a few seconds out of your day to leave a review right now. Did you leave a review yet? All right, let's get back to the episode.
The only reason why I even started all of this in the first place is because I ended up going to therapy.
Okay.
That's why I'm so big on therapy, because I know what it did for me.
Okay.
I ended up going to therapy, and when I started going to therapy, I started becoming a lot more self-aware.
Okay.
Right? I'm not naive enough to believe that it's just me and my therapist. I also understand that God was there and God was present.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started learning all these things about myself, I said, I'm always the type of person that I feel compelled to share what I learned. I feel like it's a responsibility of mine. I've been that way for a long time.
So in other words, you're a teacher.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's very, it's easier for me than others to break things down. So like certain complex things that sometimes people can find like very hard to explain. Like for me, I can find an analogy that can break it down, or I can break it down in layman's terms and make it easy for people to understand it. And so that's what I was doing on social media. So I was doing that on my own Instagram personally. I didn't have any brand or podcast. I just go on my stories and this is what I learned. And why ain't y'all in therapy? Why do we not talk about therapy? Why is this such a stigma? And then David would be like, yo, bro, you should start a podcast. I was like, David, leave me the hell alone. I ain't starting no damn podcast here, right? Just like how your mentees would hit you up about.
They would hit me up.
I'm like, yo, I ain't starting no podcast. And the reason why is because I had in the past, I had something called a Kizzle brand, which was a project aimed at raising awareness for depression and help people through difficult times. And I did that for 3 years. I never got any traction off of it. Never made a single dollar off it. In fact, we lost money from it. And I would do like different merch sales and all these different kind of things. And I would donate the money, and I didn't have any money. And I would get money from merch sales and give it out to other people, right? And so I never made money off of that from 2017 to 2020. So when Dave was telling me to do a podcast, I'm like, you want me to spend money on equipment and do all that? Well, how much money you think I got, David? I'm not doing this, right? I'm not doing this, right? And so I felt like it didn't make sense for me to do any more business stuff. I had a job, I was working a nice job, money's coming in, I'm feeling comfortable. Why do I need to invest in another business? And we're in the middle of the pandemic. But then after a while, I'm like, you know what? I said, I'm gonna have a son one day. And I know my son is gonna go through difficult times. That's humans, right? We go through difficulty. And who better to teach him than me when I'm actually going through it, right, and can actually relate and resonate, right? And so that was initially the driver for the platforms. Like, yo, I'm gonna just go to therapy. Everything that I learned, I'm gonna put it in a podcast. My son at one point in time will be able to watch and listen to these episodes and be able to understand like how to navigate different situations and have the wisdom to be able to like apply that.
I applaud your courage. Yeah, it takes a great deal of bravery. Yeah, to share what you go through. Because a lot of times we're always worried about what people are going to say. Yeah. So, but I tell you, the older I get, the less I care. I'm just telling you, I think it's just older. What they call us OGs? It's just OG privilege, man. The older you get, the less you really care. Not that you don't want to be tactful and respectful and all that, by all means, but you know, the think that you could please everybody, that's a grave mistake. So
drive yourself nuts.
But I'm glad you did, because look where we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, look where we are.
And you know what's so interesting? I don't think I've ever told anybody this. I had a dream at some point. I can't remember when I had a dream, but I remember the dream. And the dream was that I'll be interviewing people. And at that time, I had never done a podcast. I was not interviewing people. And one of the things I always tell people is I'm very introverted. I don't really like having conversations like that. But I come off as if I do, because I know how to turn it on. I know, we're going to do 2 interviews today. All I need to do is really be extroverted for 4 hours. Then after that, I don't gotta talk to nobody. Right? So I know how to turn it on when I need to. So, but when I had the dream, I'm like, why would I be interviewing people?
Let's peel that onion back.
Yeah, let's do it.
First of all, it wasn't a dream. You were there.
Okay, let's break that down.
Yeah, it's just precognition.
Okay.
See, you can't remember it, but you remember some aspects of it, right? So actually what you said you were dreaming about, and now doing. So how's it a dream if you're actually doing it? It wasn't a dream, it was just a teller what you would be doing. You see, your life to a certain extent is already planned out. You've already agreed to it before you came here. You signed something called a soul contract. Most people are unaware of these things, especially in the Black community, because we don't delve deep into any great level of spirituality outside of the Bible. If it ain't in the Bible, it can't be true. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'll prove it to you. I'll prove to you that you have powers you're unaware of. Have you ever thought about someone and then they call you? All right. Has that ever happened to you? Now, if it's happened to you and it's happened to me and it's happened to him, it can't be a what? A coincidence. So then how do you do that? How's that able? How are you able to do that? I'll tell you how you're able to do it. Work with me. You think about someone, they call you, you answer the phone, and the first thing out your mouth is, I was just what?
Thinking about you.
That's how it works. That's how it works. Your thoughts can travel at light speed that supersede time and distance. It's the same as with a mother. She's laying in bed, something bad happens to her child, she just wakes up out of sleep. Call Ryan right now. What's going on? Something bad has happened. Even though she's nowhere near him, she can feel it. You see, love is measurable. It's a measurable energy, but most people don't talk about it. We use it all the time. You ever walk down into a room and you can feel something's wrong and nobody ever said anything to you? You call it getting a bad what? Vibe. You see, but a lot of us ignore it. See, you use your powers all the time. You just don't pay attention to it. Yeah, you said to Mr. J, I had a dream. That's what we call it. And I saw myself. Yeah, you saw your future. And now you're actually living it. So it wasn't a dream. It was just a glimpse of what was to come. But some might not agree. And it's what they do, fine. If they don't, I don't care. But the fact of the matter is, you have these abilities that lie dormant in you. We just don't talk about them. I hear people say, opening up your chakras and vibrating on a certain frequency and reaching your higher self. All is mind. It all comes from you. It's happening to you, through you, and for you. It is you, no one else. When you go to bed at night, who's in your head? Who's talking to you? You're talking to you. When you hear yourself tell yourself, hey, you can do it, do you hear, thus saith the Lord God, that you can do this? You don't hear that. You hear your own voice. You can speak without using your mouth. You can hear without using your ears. You can see without using your eyes. That's the real you. You can see whatever you want to see in your mind. Is that not true?
That is true.
Do you use these eyes to see in your mind? No, you do not. You can hear yourself speak even though you don't move your mouth. Can you? Is that not true?
That's true.
See? You can see, you can hear, and you can speak without using any of these so-called senses that we operate in this world. So here's the question. Then how are you able to do that? Because that's the real you. That's who you really are. I wanted to tell you this testimony. I think a good question would be, Mr. Johnson, when did you know that God was real?
Yes. Well, you already asked it.
Yeah, when did you know? Well, I'm going to go back to 2006. I started my own business. The business flops. My wife and I are in foreclosure. We're 6 months behind on our mortgage. We get a letter. They're going to auction off my property March 6, 2006 at 11:30 a.m. at the Cobb County Courthouse. It's a Tuesday. I'll never forget it. My wife had never really had to work. She had finally got a job working at some place. I can't recall what it was, but I was taking her to work. We couldn't take her car because I couldn't afford to get the emissions done. And on the way to work, me taking her to work, 7:30 in the morning, we arguing. I mean bad. Just bad. Yelling, screaming. We were young in our marriage. We didn't know how to deal with conflict resolution. We didn't have those critical skills that are necessary to effectively communicate. To say all that, I dropped my wife off at work. I'm coming down Peachtree Industrial. For those who live in Georgia, you know what I'm talking about to hit Spaghetti Junction. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs in my car, driving, just hating life, hating God, hating where things were. How did I get here? How did I wind up here? From making all this money to, I'm about to lose my house. I'm driving down 285 and I get to my exit and the oil light on my car came on. Now, what I'm about to tell you is the truth. It's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. This really happened to me. This is when I knew God exists. God is not dead at all. My oil light comes on. I had 2 20s in my wallet. That was all the money we had left in the world. We had $40. That's all we had. That was it. She's sitting right here. She's shaking. That was it. That was all we had. She hadn't got paid yet. She just started that gig. They got that 2-week hold period or whatever. Yo, I go to this oil change bay that has a car wash that has an oil change bay on Panola Road called Cartopia. I pull in the oil change bay. I think it's like 8:30 in the morning, 8:45. There's the guy who changes the oil. I had to get the oil changed to get my wife to work the next day. The guy is in oil change bay. I pull a car in, he tells me to come in. I walk inside the waiting area. And when I walk inside the waiting area, as I'm walking in, another guy walks out. We just pass each other just like this. And I was the only one in the waiting area, and there was a young lady behind the counter. The guy who I just passed walking out, he walked back in. And he sat across from me. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this is going to sound incredible, but it's the truth. He asked me, do you believe in God? And let me backtrack. He said, hey, big fella, can I ask you a question? That's what he says to me. And the first thing I assumed was he was going to ask me for a couple of dollars, like he was panhandling or whatever. And I said, yeah, what's up? And he says, do you believe in God? I said, yeah, I believe in God. And I got this real mean scowl on my face, man. Like, what this, you know what I mean? Real rap. He said, well, the Holy Spirit's telling me to tell you something. I said, what's that? He said, the Holy Spirit's telling me to give you $5,000. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, the Holy Spirit's telling me to give you $5,000. And the young lady behind the counter, she overhears the conversation, and he came over to me, and he was much shorter than I am, and he stood me up, and he says, look how God made you. But where God was going to take you, you needed to be more humble. You needed more humility. I started crying. I ain't gonna lie. I broke down in the car wash at 8:45 in the morning. For real, man. I broke down right there in front of this stranger. I was overwhelmed. I was vexed, man. I didn't see a way out. You know what I mean? I didn't know what I was going to do. He says, come with me to the car wash right now. I told him my car is in the oil change bay. He told the young lady, park his car over there. And I hopped in this guy's truck. I didn't know this guy from a can of paint. So we hop in his truck. We ride down Panola, ride down Thompson's Mill, hit Snapfinger. He hits Wachovia Bank. On the way there, he's driving. He's asking me these weird questions. Why do the seasons change and all this other stuff? And I think I said the earth turns on a 33 degrees axis and the sun. I said something like that. I did. Honestly, I said that. And he says, no, big fella, the seasons change because God likes new things and he's going to do a new thing in your life. That's what he told me. We get to the bank. He says, come with me in the bank. There's a line in the bank, a line. Man, bro walked in front of everybody and nobody said nothing. And they just walked over to the counter where it was, I guess he just caught it between somebody else was going to come down and he just got right there. Nobody said a thing. Nobody. I called my big brother. His name is Michi. He lived in North Carolina at the time. And I said, he was telling me, if you lose your crib, just come home and stay with me in North Carolina. I didn't want to do that, not at all. And I'm like, yo, bro, you won't believe what's happening. I was at the car wash and some dude came up and was like, yo, God told me to give you $5,000. I said, man, this is unbelievable. Well, the guy's name who gave me the money, his name was Eddie. He heard me on the phone with my brother. I guess my voice carries. And he set the money back down on the counter right in front of everybody and walked away from it and came over to me and said these exact words. Hey, big fella, the Holy Spirit's telling me to tell you to never use the words unbelievable again because all things are possible to him that believes. He talked to my brother. He said, man, don't worry, your brother gonna be okay. At this time, I had to call my wife. She wouldn't have believed somebody just gave me 5 bands. You know what I mean? What you do? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That type of thing.
Who you rob?
Yeah. What you do? You know what I mean? I'm like, nah. So I'm just being honest. This is what happened. So he got the bread. I called my wife. I got her on the phone. He spoke to her. She started crying. Yo, you got to understand. We had 5 days before they was going to foreclose. They was going to auction off my property. It was beyond just a foreclosure. They about to sell it. You about to put your stuff out. You got to go. And we're in our 30s, you know what I mean? This is not a good look. So he talked to my wife. I can't remember what he said to her, but I know they spoke and I know she was moved emotionally. She was just crying. We couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it, what was happening to us. Complete stranger just gave you 5 stacks, some dude you just met in the car wash at 8:30 in the morning. We leave out of the bank. He hands me the money and he says, big fella, you don't owe me anything. I'm sowing a seed. God's going to repay me. But just know that everything's going to be okay. You're going to have to go through this process. I get back in his truck. We drive back to the car wash. Now, his truck had these real dark tinted windows. You could not see an old boy's whip at all, period. You weren't seeing it. And before he lets me out, he parks the truck. And remember, I'm at a car wash, so the guys who were bringing their cars out, the people who were driving the cars now, it's probably about 9:30 now, something to 10. The car wash is filling up. I see my car parked over there, and I see the guys drying off the cars, and I'm about to get out, and he grabbed me. He said, before you go, let me pray for you. Now listen to me. I've never seen a man in my life pray like that. Even to this day. I don't need no preacher, no pastor, no bishop, nothing. I've never seen anybody pray like that. This dude was on fire, man. It's hard to articulate it, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know how to take it, to be honest with you. I really didn't. But he just prayed. He prayed like he meant what he said. Like he really meant it. So before I get out, he hands me his card. He says, if you ever need me, call me. I get out. I go pay for the oil change. I walked in that car wash with $40. I left with $5,000. I walked in the car wash with two 20s and left with $5,000 in cash. I get in my car. I'm on my way back to my house. I'm thinking I'm good. I call the mortgage company. Everything's lovely. I call the mortgage company. Wrong. Mr. Johnson, we want all of our money. It was $6,500. There was an additional $1,500 in attorney's fees. Whenever your property goes into foreclosure, I guess to go through the legal system, they hit you with those attorney's fees. So I get off the phone with the mortgage company. They're like, we want all of our money when it foreclose on the property. Again, what I'm about to tell you is the truth. I'm sitting in there. Marie's at work. I'm sitting in my crib. Now, keep in mind, this is all from being an executive with Disney. Now you in foreclosure. And I'm sitting in my house. Now, what I'm about to tell you is the truth. A voice spoke to me. You can say what you want. I heard it clearly. It told me to pray. I didn't go with no church goer. I didn't do none of that. For real, I didn't do none of that. I said, pray. I heard it as clear as day. I just said these words, God help me. 2 hours later, the mortgage company called me back and said, Mr. Johnson, we'll take your $5,000. God's honest truth, bro. I had $40. The oil change was $19.95. So I took the $5,000 and the remaining money that I had, and I got a money order at the bank and FedExed the money order to the attorney's office. And it stopped the foreclosure. Me and my wife, home was safe for a little longer. A couple of days later, she's on her way home from work, driving my car. The car cuts off in the middle of a rush hour traffic. Wifey was heated. And I get it now. She was just tired of going through the struggle. That's why it's nothing I won't do for her. Like I told you, women respect fidelity. She was loyal. She was down with me when I was down. You understand what I'm saying, T? That's why she can get, you can get it, what you want. She can get it, real rap. She can get it because she was loyal. It's a lesson for you ladies. But anyway, yeah, stay down with your man. Anybody can ride with you when you up. Anybody, man. Anybody can ride with you when you up. Anybody can. Why y'all say lit, whatever? Anybody can ride with you when you like that. You see what you really going through when you down. And wifey stayed down. That's why she can get anything. I tell her all the time, if you ever take me to court, you ain't got to put me in front of no white man in the robe. You can get half. You did, because you earned that shit. Excuse my French. And that's real. But anyway, the car cut off. She called me. She tripping. Whoop-de-whoop. I told her to put the car in neutral. She got the car started up. She got the car home. We beefing. We just had this miracle. Just had this miracle. 2 days later, we beefing. Now, she's sitting in here in the studio. She's off camera, but she'll tell you in the middle of that argument, I heard that voice again, and I said to her, did you hear that? I asked her.
You must have sounded so wild in that call when you said that.
No, when she came home, let me say it clearly. She gets the car home. We start arguing because the car had broke down, and I took it to the repair shop, and the guy like, Mr. Johnson, you need a tune-up. It was $800. Just remember, 5 days earlier, all I had was $40. Dude gave me 5 stacks. I got the oil change, took the remaining money and sent it off for the mortgage payment. But I'm completely tapped. I don't have no money. I'm tapped out. Wifey's going to work the next week. That Tuesday was going to foreclose the house. We didn't have to worry about it. She still went to work. She on her way back, the car cut off on her. And she heated because she was like, yo, how much longer are we going to keep going through this adversity? You know what I mean? So, but when she get home, we going back and forth with each other. And in the middle of that argument, that voice that spoke to me in my house spoke to me again. And I asked my wife, yo, did you hear that? And she's just looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, how can you not hear that? And she's just like, what? And she's sitting right here. I got up and walked out, didn't I? I'm like, how do you not hear that voice? And it was loud.
Mm.
I'm not trying to sound all Harry Potterish, bro. I know how it sounds, man.
I believe you.
You know, but that's what happened. I wish whoever's listening, this is what happened to me. And it said, go downstairs and pray. I go downstairs again. I'm like, God help me. Then the voice talks to me. It tells me to call Eddie. He gave me a cell phone number. Remember I told you, he said, if you ever need me, call me. Damn, I don't want to call this dude, but I didn't have no choice. My back was against the wall. The car's not running. She got to go to work. She just got the gig. We just saved the crib. Then I'm going through all my old mental thing as a man. You know, I'm not on my game. I don't have no paper. Real rap. There was a lot going on, man. And I called Eddie up. And you know how when you ask someone for something, you just don't come out and ask them. You have your little pleasantries. You know,
how you doing, man? How's everything? How's the family?
Yeah, real rap.
How'd it call me?
About that. He said, what's going on, Big Fella? I said, listen, man, I'm in the bind. He said, what you need? I said, I need $800. That's how much it costs for the tune-up. He said, oh, man, I got $800. No worries, man. I got that. No worries. He said, but Big Fella, let me ask you a question. I said, what's up, Eddie? He said, why don't you just come out and ask me for the money? I said, Eddie, with all due respect, I'm not accustomed to asking anybody for anything. He said, oh, mighty man of God, you still have pride. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that as long as I live. I said, man, I'm trying. I'm out here trying to get a gig. I'm trying, you know, I'm a former executive. No, he said, big fella, if God wanted you to have a job, you have one. This is a proven ground. You being tested. Hence, they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. See, you being tested. I didn't think all those years ago that I would wind up sitting on a sofa talking to a young brother about what happened to me. But now you're going to put it out on his Instagram and it's going to help somebody. It's going to renew their faith that God sees us. He does. Now, why did he do that for me? I do not know. I do not know. But I know what happened to me. Well, anyway, Eddie's like, yo, I got you. Don't worry. This was right before Easter Sunday. This was a Saturday. He says, I'm going to call you. He doesn't call me. Easter Sunday happens. I don't hear from him. I don't know how my wife got to work that Monday, but she did. Of course, when I didn't hear from him, I started to what? Panic. Oh, yo, he left me hanging, whoop-de-whoop. You know what I mean? That's not the case at all. He said, he calls me in the middle of the afternoon. He says, big fella, I want to apologize. I got wrapped up in the festivities over the weekend, but going down there to the bank and ask for this lady, the money's down there waiting for you. And I never heard from him again. Never heard from him again, never saw him again. And throughout my life, there were these odd occurrences that would happen. You know, slowly my life started to get better. Not overnight, but slowly things started to progress in the right direction. There was a lot of purging of people, purging of old belief systems, purging of how I used to live my life, purging on how I would treat my wife. You know what I mean? It was really a very transformative time in my life. It's the best way I can explain it. And there were many other instances where God would send people to encourage me. You know, my wife and I went to the dentist and we left and had some lunch and we walked over to the Jaguar dealership that was across the street. No, just window shopping or whatever. And this salesperson, a brother, we walk in and he's just looking at me weird. Just kept staring at me. And I'm not going to do what he did because I don't want to look crazy on camera, but let's just say his body was moving and contorting in a way that people don't normally move. And he's doing all this movement, keep saying, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you something. Like something possessed this dude, man, for real. She was there in front of all the people that are in there. He didn't care. And he's like, you got the blood of millions on your hands. This is what this man was telling me. You know, you got the blood of millions. Millions of people are waiting for you to hear your words and to hear you speak. And he started speaking in tongues and all this other stuff while we're doing the test drive. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. That really happened to me. And for many years, I kind of ran from it. I always knew that I had this ability to speak to people. I don't know why. You know, I never asked for any of it. It's just like, you can just be out here for 2 hours and you can do your thing. And you can just turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all have those sort of different gifts. Not all of them the same, but we all have this something that we could do.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know why we could do it. We just can do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just part of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
But, through the mentor program and by facing so much adversity, financial, there was physical. My wife almost died a few years ago. That was a terrible, terrible situation. And by no means can I express what she went through. But as the husband on the outside looking in, you talk about feeling helpless, that no amount of money you possess can do anything. We're seeing stacks of blood on top of where they put the food at. My wife was bleeding profusely, and she had 36 blood transfusions just to keep her alive. And I remember seeing her on life support at Emory downtown at 2:00 in the morning. And I'm just literally spent, bro. I'm done. But when I look back on those times, that how God restored my wife's health, restored me, that these things were meant not just to teach us, but also to help people, to never give up hope. Sometimes things look a lot worse than what they are. And sometimes they really are as bad as they seem. But to have faith, to have hope, you don't know what kind of faith you have until it's tested. You don't really appreciate hope until you're placed into somewhat of a hopeless situation. You don't really understand what pain is until you're hurt. And we can empathize with people all we want, but until you're actually experiencing it, once you experience something, it gives you a whole different viewpoint on it. As opposed to someone just telling you something.
Right.
But there were many instances, and still are to this day, from the mentor program, the drone company, the people who are wanting to sponsor me now, and all the stuff that's happening from Instagram. It's just incredible. I had no context. I had no expectation. But when people are telling me, hey, you're killing it, you got millions of views, and people are DMing me. I didn't even know what a DM was. I didn't know what those. I'm just being honest, young king. I'm just being honest, man. Ain't no shame in Mr. J's game. I didn't know what DMs were. General, primary, hidden requests. I didn't. what the hell is all this? You know what I'm saying? But you got people reaching out to you from all over the world. Can you mentor my son? Can you talk to my daughter? Can you talk to my husband? And that's why I keep the mentor program. I don't like any more than 20 people. And then there's people who are obviously wanting to capitalize on what's happening. And not that we won't. I don't know, but it's not the driving factor.
Right.
It's more or less making an impact and hopefully that. I had a young lady, she wrote a DM and she said, you saved my life. We had a young man he wrote and said on the comments, I was about to commit suicide till I saw your post. I'm like, yo, it's like that.
Yeah, it gets real.
It gets real. You know what I'm saying? How you young folks say, for real. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yo, you younger than us, man. You know all the lingo.
I got nothing but young guns around me. I keep telling you, they keep me abreast, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They Mr. J, man, when we write checks, use Cash App. Yo, Mr. J, use Zelle. Mr. J, that keeps me young. I told you, I don't have any sons. I have a daughter and 3 beautiful grandchildren. Shout out to my daughter, Tiana, my grandkids, Randy, RJ, and Marley. Love you all. But at the end of the day, nah, man, the young cats keep me young, bro. Yeah, man, I need them cats around me, man. They treat me well too, bro. And a lot of them didn't have fathers. So a lot of them say, Mr. J, you like a father to me. Man, what an honor. When you really think about that, man, what an honor. You were like the big brother I always wanted.
Yeah.
Because, part of the mentor program, I'm real big on accountability. Yeah, I mean, I make some change doing it. You know what I'm saying? I got to eat. But the downside of being an entrepreneur is that an entrepreneur, the only one who holds him accountable is himself. And usually he's going to give himself a pass.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I have my days.
Yeah.
I have my days for sure.
There it is.
I work very hard, but I have my days. I said, man, I ain't doing not a damn thing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I know last night I said today gonna be the day I do it, but I ain't doing it today, man. I'm not doing it today.
So, that's one of the things I'm real passionate about is seeing us win, not just financially. Of course, I want you to get the bag, but that you're whole mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. You know, I know a lot of cats with bread that are miserable.
Can you say that again? Because there's this notion that we have in our community when we come from lack, that we believe that having money or being more successful will just make everything go away.
Having money means you can pay your bills. My wife is in the room with me. She's right over here. I don't like her being on camera. I'm going to say why? Because I protect my treasure. I hope that the world can understand that. Protect my treasure. But with that being said, we done had a few dollars and still been miserable. Yeah. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, no doubt. But if you were under the impression that if I have a bunch of money that my life will not be filled with problems, you are sadly mistaken. That's not true. That's not true at all. If that was the case, why would Michael Jordan get divorced? Tom Cruise, they got fame and bread, right? Why did the marriage work? Not trying to put them on blast, but it's not like it's not public record. You know, so just because you have money doesn't mean you're going to be happy. I think the deal is balance. That's what we're all striving to achieve, in my humble opinion. You need balance in your life. You know, I'm not a therapist. I'm just a guy.
You don't got to be a therapist.
Nah,
I'm not a therapist either.
Nah, but what I would tell people is this. It's easier said than done. Treat others the way you want to be treated. But most people don't treat themselves well. How can they treat others well?
Say it one more time, Mr. J. Please, one more time.
You know, it's the old adage where people say, treat others the way you want to be treated. I strongly beg to differ because most people don't treat themselves well. So how can they treat you well? Really think about it. If people really treated each other the way they wanted to be treated, then why is there so much chaos in the world? You in one of the most violent cities in America.
That's very true.
It's very true. Everyone knows to love your neighbor like you love yourself, treat others the way you're going to be treated. If that's what you see all the time, no. Well, why would somebody treat you that way? I think the term is hurt people hurt people. That might be true to a certain extent, but I believe evil people hurt people. So that's another thing that I look at, how the manipulation of words and how they've been watered down and diluted to lose their impact or meaning of what they truly are intended to be. Like, for example, a person walks into a supermarket and kills a bunch of black people, and it's placed under the banner of mental illness. No, why can't it just be called for what it is? Evil. But, you know, evil's not a popular term. It's just not popular.
You don't call people evil.
They don't call people evil. No, there's evil. There is good and evil in this world. It's like there is light and darkness. There is love and hate. There's nothing exists without its opposite, life and death. Nothing in its whole cosmos exists without its opposite. You can have a midget that's 2'11", and you got a guy that's 8'6". This is just the truth. You can have a person that's extremely skinny. You can have a person that's extremely obese. Nothing exists without the far spectrum of its opposite. The deal is, most people just, in my opinion, don't recognize the real. I give them a pass in a sense because you've been conditioned. Everything you know, most of it, most people don't think for themselves. You operate under the program, the matrix. It's the truth. You heard what Morpheus said. So many people are jacked in that they couldn't survive without it. You really believe that you were born to just work for 30 years? You really believe that you came, wherever you think you came from, that you came here through the vessels or the vehicles of your father? You come from your father. This is the first thing I tell most women. Your children belong to him. Those are the seeds out of his loins. You carry his child. If they don't belong to him, why you make them pay for them? Men need to understand who they are as fathers. I'm serious about that, but that's another story. The fact of the matter is,
they ain't gonna like that one.
Well, whether or not they like
it's
it,
all good. No, I like it. I love it. Though.
But if you think about it, where did the children come from? They come from the seed of who?
The man.
The man. That's right. But you always hear most women say, "Those are my children." Well, if they're your children, why do you require him to? They're only yours when you have to pay for them. See, I keep it real. I don't care. I'm not looking to be in the popularity, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just saying, be honest. It's not like that statement is not the what? The truth. So what they're not mad at me, you hate the truth. John 8:32 says, know ye the truth, And the truth shall make you what? Free. But most people hate the truth. They rather bring controversy as opposed to honesty. They rather have an argument as opposed to a solution. Nate, tell me what I said that was wrong. You can't. So what you having a problem with is the truth. And see, people hate the truth. It says this, in the beginning was the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among men. And the Word brought light into the world, and man did what with the light? He hated the light. He loved what instead? Darkness. People love evil, man. Instead of listening to understand, you're looking to refute. You're not looking to say, damn, is there any validity to what that guy is saying? Is it true? Well, the seed does come from a man. Without him having, I didn't say one was more valuable than the other. And to show you that those kids do belong to him, that's why he's obligated to care for them. That's the truth. What's wrong with that? That's the truth. If it's not true, why does family court exist? Why are they telling them, well, we need 20% of your what? Your income, right? Because you're responsible for those children. Even though they might not dwell with them, it's been given to us as a feeble that it's just natural for women to take care of children. No one ever talks about the women who puts their children in the microwave, puts them in the dumpster, throws them off the cliff, puts them in the box at the fire station. Do these things not happen? Yeah, but no one talks about that. No one talks about the fathers that are really impactful in their children's lives. We're given the impression that most black men don't take care of their what? Their kids. It's perception. It's the narrative that's pushed among you. This is why I say most people don't think for themselves. They think what they've been told. They think what they've been told. They don't really know. How do you know that? Well, that's what everyone is saying. Just like I said, no pain, no gain. Anything else, it's programming. That's why it's called television programming. That's what it is to change the channel. You see, the television, they're telling you a vision. Most people don't understand this. You've been told a vision of how you think life should be. You know, even you don't have to listen to me. I gain nothing. But think about it. If the way that's being told is the right way, then why is it so destructive? Why aren't so many black people happy? Men and women. Why are our children strung out on drugs and gang violence? There's a church house on every corner. New Bethel, Mount Zion, all this stuff, right? This preacher, that preacher. Why are so many black people in dire need? We would be the 8th wealthiest country in the world if we pooled our economic resources together. But they taught us not to trust each other. See, even you, when we having this conversation, they're not gonna like that. You see, the fact that our brothers and sisters have been so conditioned just to normally disagree with us. You're not born that way. You become that way through social engineering, social programming. If you keep hearing men are dogs, 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 no man is faithful, there are no good men. You hear this your entire life. Let alone you see indications of it. And you'll hear a person say, all men are dogs. Well, how can you speak for all men? That's not true. But if you start to believe that, it becomes that way for you. If a young man says women ain't nothing but thought, bitches, hoes, and tricks, and he keeps hearing that through the music over and over and over, he's inundated with it. His friends talk about it. His basketball coach is listening to it. And then you wonder why the first thing out of his mouth is, bitch. It's conditioned. He wasn't born talking that way. He became that way. But see, like I tell my mentees, most black people don't want to have real conversation. They want to argue. They want to argue and make each other look bad. Ask yourself, why is it this way for us? I mean, really, why is it this way for black people? Why? Why don't we have our own banks? Why don't we have our own schools? We're the culture. I see white people rapping now. 40 years ago, you didn't see that. And see, the younger generation, they don't know what the old heads went through. They really, and then if you never experienced it, then you can't appreciate it. No matter how much respect is due and all that. Nah, man, miss me with that. You can't appreciate it because you didn't go through that. You don't know what it is to have a rope around your neck hanging from a tree and being called strange fruit. You have no concept of that. You have no concept of the fact that, if you looked at a white woman a certain way, that they would kill your ass. You have no concept of that. You can't even imagine that. You can't even fathom what, that really happened to y'all? Because now we stockbrokers. Now we traders. Now we work for Microsoft. Real rap. Now we got, owner of an NBA team. Man, they nothing new under the sun, bro. And a lot of us are just conditioned. We don't know. And what people don't know, they fear. And what people fear, they'll destroy. They don't know me, but I'm sure someone gonna say some crazy comment. They don't even know me, what I've been through, they just gonna assume. That's what I'm saying. Assumption is the mother of all fuck ups. Excuse my French.
It's all good.
Yeah, when you assume, there's certain things you should assume as an aspect of manifestation, but to assume you know someone based off a 2-hour conversation makes an ass of yourself. Because you really don't know that person. You just heard what they said. You see, but you should ask yourself, why do so many black men don't seek out therapy? Because we've been taught in our community that if you show any form of that, you weak, you soft, you a bitch. Am I lying?
No, you're not.
Bitch ass nigga. I hear it all the time. Look how we talk. We actually took the word nigga and convinced ourselves because we took the E out and put an A there is good. We actually did that, man. We actually convinced ourselves for that, man. That's crazy, bro. You even got white dudes calling themselves wiggers.
What?
Yeah, man.
Where? That's true?
Am I lying? Yeah, man.
What?
Real rap, bro.
Nah.
But see, if you was walking down the streets of, I'm from Delaware. There used to be a lot of racial tension up top. Real rap, bro. Whites and the blacks, they didn't get along with each other. You know what I'm saying? I got hit in the brick a couple of times. Real rap, man. It wasn't sweet, bro. But I understand times change, and I'm not trying to promote anything. I'm just simply saying a lot of young people don't understand that it's not just young people, even the old heads. All of us have been eating off the same pot. You know what I mean? All of us have been in this circumstance and situation for a minute. But you should ask yourself, why is it in the black community our schools are so messed up? Why is it that the family is torn apart? Why is it that our women going around, I ain't mad at women twerking. Like I said, I'd have been at the strip club, the whole nine. So, man, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, that's not all y'all known for. They're great thinkers. Some of them are very bright, highly intelligent. You know what I mean? But a lot of us are dumbed down that because we don't want to be ridiculed. We don't want to be made fun of because you speak a certain way, or you dress a certain way, or you express yourself a certain way. So they'd rather go about what's called the society's norms and to be accepted. That's what it comes down to, which in itself lets you know that no one wants to be isolated. That's why when a cat's in prison, you're already in the cell, but when they want to punish you, they lock you in isolation, put you in a hole. You dig? So because you don't want to be in that cell because you had the need to feel connected. Hence, it's the base root problem. What I see in a lot of brothers and sisters, they behave this way in order to be connected.
I need you to rewind, like maybe a minute.
Sure.
And just say that part again.
I was simply saying, when you punish someone, like for a person in prison, you already being punished, they put you in a cell, right? But that's not punishment. That's jail or prison. They punish you by putting you in a hole. Or why do they put you in a hole? So you isolated from everybody. That's why nobody ever wants to go inside the hole. That's why most people in society act the way that they act, so that they're not isolated from people. They need to be connected to them. So I'm going to behave this way. So if I got to be a gang member to be connected, I'm going to be a gang member. If I'm going to be a hoe, I'm going to be a hoe. If that's what it's going to take in order for me to feel connected to my culture, to my people, to what I see the masses doing, then that's how I'm going to behave. And there's no amount of therapy or psychology that can do away with that. As I spoke at the United Way one year, our problem is not economics. Our problem is cultural. It's not a lack of money. There's plenty of money in the black community. If it wasn't, why is there Lowe's there? Why is there Walmart? We have bad spending habits. Buying rims for a car, having a $1,500 car payment. We don't understand interest. We don't understand finance charts. Not that we stupid or dumb. No one's ever took the time to teach it to us. A lot of stuff we learn is through trial and error. So then now you have your parents trying to preach to their children the same things that they wanted them to avoid. So they don't know. So they trying to tell them to do the right thing. And usually kids are no different. There's nothing new in the sun. Most kids don't listen. They don't recognize your value as a parent until they become a parent themselves. Such is life. But I was saying that the whole isolation thing is true. People behave that way to feel connected. You know, they got it cool to think it's cool to go to jail. You know, you're going to see your peoples. Yo, I ran into so-and-so. I ain't never been to jail. I ain't going to jail. Ain't nothing cool about going to prison. Ain't nothing cool about going to jail. And if you're going to go to jail for something big. Yo, I hit him up for $40 million. You know what I mean? If I'm going to go to jail, don't go to jail for a bag of weed. I'll go to jail for a little ounce, you know, a little brick. That ain't nothing, man. I'm just saying. Maybe cats not used to hear somebody say to hear the old school tell you, man, what you gonna go to jail for that for? They making so much money off black people in prison. It's ridiculous.
Isn't that what they call it, the new slavery?
Yeah, it's the new slave ship. Absolutely. And we the willing participant. Ain't nobody forcing you on that auction block. You do it willingly, dummy. All because you want to don't want to feel isolated. You want to feel connected. So if you grow up, y'all going to school, and your boys is acting real stupid, you don't want to be the one they calling a nerd, L7, square. You see? So I'm going to do what they do, smoke weed, even though he hears that voice in his head telling him, no, man, don't do that. Tell me I'm lying. But he lacks the emotional fortitude and the courage to be and stand on his own. And a lot of times he lacks that because he doesn't have a father. It's systematic. What you see is the symptoms of the problem, but you don't understand the root of it. You see, it's like a tree. It has many branches. You can prune them branches all you want. They're going to keep coming back. But if you take the root out, it'll kill it. We never take the root out. So it keeps repeating itself.
So what's the root? Are you saying the root is the father, the lack of father?
No, the root is evil. The root is evil. See, it's not one thing. It's a combination of things. It's not just the father. It's also the girl who's 13, 14 years old having sex, unprotected, and the dude raw digging her. Let's just keep it real. It's also that dude who knows he shouldn't be doing it, but she's impressionable and he's trying to play on it because his boys are telling him, yo, if you ain't getting no ass, you a punk ass motherfucker. So now he feels the peer pressure to do that, even though it's wrong. You think this is something new? This was going on back in the 70s. It was going on back in the 60s. Hence, there's no new thing under the sun. You see what I'm saying? It's nothing new going on. Nothing. So what? We live in a better neighborhood. Black people are more disconnected now than they've ever been. At least when we had slavery, we had each other. Think about it. We had your own schools, your own supermarkets, your own garbage company, your own bus lines. You don't know these things. They're not going to teach you these things. It's not no history book. Hell, they're trying to do away with it in Florida. Like it never even existed.
That's true.
I'm telling you the truth. If all you see is Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Denzel Washington, and Sam Jackson, and Barack Obama, and Michelle Obama, you would think this country never had a racial problem ever. But that's not the reality of it. Because when I drive through downtown Atlanta today, on our way home, and I ride through certain areas and parts of the community, is rather blatant and very obvious to me that there's still a huge disparity between the have and the have-nots. It's not even the black or white thing. It's an economic thing. You're not taught to make money. You're taught to be a slave. That's what I tell all people. The worst thing a society wants is a well-educated group of people. Well, healthy, and educated. They don't want you healthy. They want you sick so they can pump you their drugs. Pharmaceuticals. They don't want you educated. If you're educated, you have a tendency to outthink them. Really think about it. They want you sick. That's why every time you turn on the TV, it's a pharmaceutical commercial to tell you to take these pills. All the food that they promote, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, everybody call it fast food. No, it's not healthy for you. You're not going to see an advertisement for a great healthy salad. They don't want you eating no salad. They want you morbidly obese, type 2 diabetic, kidney failure, heart failure, stroke, cancer. That's what they want. They make millions of dollars off of that. Why would you think that the society wants you to be well? You're basically chattel. This is the truth. That's why you pay your taxes. Most people just don't know the truth about the world itself, in my opinion. They live in a form of delusion, a mild form of delusion, albeit.
You know what's so interesting that you mentioned about taxes? It's kind of on a different topic. I was talking to my girl. I was like, yo, why do I have to pay taxes? I just really was just thinking about like, who made this concept up? And I know people are going to talk about all the benefits of taxes and how it helps society and blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't work for the government, but I work for the government.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm property of the government. No matter what I do,
you are their property.
I'm property of the government. I have to pay taxes. I'm a Fed.
And listen, not only do you get taxed on your money, you go to buy something, they're going to tax you again.
Which doesn't make any sense.
That's because our people don't take the time to study these things. You see? You're absolutely right. I mean, hell, and I think it's Dubai, they don't have no tax.
Might have to go to Dubai. Ain't gonna
You know
lie.
what I mean? Real rap. You know what I mean? And then with all the taxes that we pay, look at the condition of the country.
This is what I was just about to say that. I live in New York. New York is probably one of the highest tax states in the country.
Pothole city.
Pothole every other day. It's changing my radio station.
Yeah, man. Pothole city.
You hit a pothole in New York, it messes your whole day up.
But listen, yet we can send $600 million to another country.
It don't make any sense.
It doesn't. And so think about it. That's why none of this makes sense. It's depression and anxiety. There are a lot of factors. But just the mere fact that they constantly keep your society under a state of stress. Most people, most women live in what? Fear. Think about it. Don't go out after what?
Dark.
Most crimes happen at what? In the dark. You know what I mean? You a brother, you walking down the street, you see 5 brothers walking to you, keep it real. You got your guard up, don't you?
Absolutely.
See?
I said that before too. Yeah, I told them. I ain't gonna lie to y'all.
That's not how it's supposed to be. See, they know what they're doing. There are powers that be that we just aren't aware of. We're so dumbed down, it's pathetic. They distract you with sports and entertainment. No, go and smoke your weed, man. Go ahead, smoke your weed, man. Drink your liquor, have your cosmos, man. Do your thing, bro. While we distracted, there's aliens. You know there's aliens now. Everybody's looking for the aliens, but you really not seeing what's going on over here. They keep you distracted. It's simple. They know the way you destroy people is psychologically. You know, you destroy them through psychology. You can't just go out and shoot everybody. There has to be a methodology. So why do they promote anything positive? Why is it all the movies that you see are about killing? John Wick, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, how many, this dude never get hit? Come on, man. But I like Keanu Reeves, but just be realistic. Everybody loved them some John Wick. You seen it? See, you know what I'm saying? You seen it, John Wick. Bam, bam, bam. Just killing everybody.
Every one of them.
Every last one of them, right? But you ain't gonna see no movie about a black man and a black woman having a beautiful family and raising their children for them to become doctors, lawyers, and attorneys. I don't want to see that shit. Man, it's boring. You see? Man, I don't want to watch that. Think about it. So why is it that you get an endorphin hit from watching killing? It goes back to the video games. Now I can have you fighting with somebody in Australia. Y'all playing Call of Duty. Y'all really think y'all killing people and we'll get mad at a person, somebody miss a kill. You sorry ass player.
Yo.
It's just a game, bruh.
Call of Duty lobbies. I don't know if you ever played Call of Duty.
I used to be a gamer.
Okay, Call of Duty lobbies is probably one of the most unhealthy lobbies. I would never let my child play Call of Duty.
Or even Madden.
Yeah.
These cats is gone, man. You see, you must understand the only way to you is through your mind. The only way to anyone is through their mind. That's why the eyes are the window to the soul. You see?
Break that down.
Huh?
Break that down. Say it again.
Listen, the only way they can take anything over is through your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they do it physically too, because they put a lot of chemicals and poisons in the food now.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to get you through your mind. Well, how do I get you? I have several ways. Number one, visual. If I constantly promote a certain visual aspect of something that I want to promote. So if I visually show you women naked, next you know, you on Pornhub.
Mm.
If that doesn't work, well, I want to destroy the way that they think. So now I'm gonna get them all from the music, audio. So now I'm walking around with my earbuds in, listening to murder, death, kill, murder, death, kill, murder, death, kill. But all I gotta do is put a nice beat with it. And now it's not murder, death, kill, it's called music or drill music or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you keep hearing it over and over again. Those things invoke emotions or feelings, and people don't understand the significance of your emotions. Emotions, energy in motion, emotion, which represents movement. You know why so many young rappers get killed? They call up to themselves. Think about it. If you could speak something into existence, well, what would happen if you keep speaking about a rapper? You calling it to you. Then you wonder why they get killed. You spoke it over your life. You kept saying this is who you are. And so it happens to you. It might be hard for people to believe that, but it doesn't negate the fact that this was true. If you could speak something into existence by the mere thought of you saying it and speaking it, why is it that you put it on on a track, or you do a recording and you put it out there? It's not the same thing. This is why one should be careful with what they say.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if you can speak, think about it. This is what I'm talking about, just the truth. So some people might say, man, I don't agree with this. Fine. But the fact of the matter is, if you really believe you could speak something into existence, forget calling it speaking something into existence. Call it prayer. All right? You're basically repeating something what? Over and over again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, you become what you think about.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about when you writing some songs and all those lyrics are speaking about death, then you become what? Death. Death begets what? Death. Mm-hmm. It's just that simple. There's not to be a genius to figure that out. It's just common sense. Unfortunately, common sense is not common. It's just not anymore. You call these things to yourself. You don't understand. If you read that book, it'll tell you you're a God. Just like God said, let there be light. You're speaking your life. You're creating your own reality. You're doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're creating your own reality. Whether you understand it in its fullness or not, I can appreciate that. But it does not negate your fact that you have a moral and spiritual obligation to yourself. You have what's called or perceived to be free will. You get to choose how you live your life. Unfortunately, many of us choose wrongly or incorrectly. And then we wind up paying the price of it. I guarantee you a lot of brothers in prison saying if they could do it over again, they would make different decisions. I think that only substantiates my point and solidifies my claim.
I saw a post. Some guy that was in prison said, "I'm in prison for 20 years off of I think he said it was a 2-minute decision."
I would agree with that. Your impulses. Think about it, man. I tell people all the time, somebody cut you off. I've seen people get so angry. Like they would kill somebody. It happens all the time. They call them road rage.
Yeah.
People kill each other. Man, all you trying to do when you hop in your car is get from point A to point B safely. That's it. But when people get in their vehicle, somehow or another, their vehicle becomes kind of an extension of who they are. And if somebody's trying to get in front of them, you cut me off. They take it what? Personal. I tell my wife all the time, let them go. First of all, I ain't trying to wreck my whip. Second of all, I ain't got time for no smoke. Third of all, it's just not worth it. Legal fees, lawyers. You be out 80 bands. You out, you know what I'm saying? You out there, insurance and whatever. All for what? Because somebody hit you? Because someone's trying to get over? You felt like they were personally trying to take something from you? It's like when you see people merge on the highway. Why is that person always trying to merge in front of you so that you don't get in front of them? You're very childish as a species. Very childish. They often tell us, we don't want any bullies, right? How can you say that? That's what we do in this country all the time, is bully other countries. It's just truth. You want people to be treated with respect and dignity. How can you say that? That's not what's shown to them. they're showing every aspect of disrespect. Disrespect your mother, disrespect your father, disrespect your siblings. The only thing you should love is yourself and money, and the hell with anybody else who gets in the way of that.
Mm.
And so you see the fruit that bears itself on this tree called America.
Let me ask you a question. How can we as the Black community start to do better and solve some of these issues that we have within our culture?
It's a good question.
Because the platform is solution oriented, right?
Yeah.
So I love to talk about the issues that we have, but I also love to lead the viewers, listeners, with some tangible things that they can do.
I think number one, there has to be a desire to do better. It's one thing to say it. It would be equivalent to me saying, I want to go to the gym, but I don't want to go work out. It's not. So to say, well, what can we do to make things better? Well, number one, our most precious resource are the women. Yes.
Why do you say that?
Because they're the first teacher of our children. They're the first teacher, it's a bond that women have with children that men don't. You hungry and you're a woman, your child is hungry and it's an infant, it's your baby, you can feed it. If it was a man, they starve to death. I'm just telling you, this is what I'm saying. There's no one is above the other. They both play a role, just different roles. No one is more important than the other. They just play different roles. So I think we need to get back to understanding what is the role of a man and a woman. When you remove the man from his natural, environment where he can provide and protect, and a lot of it's done a lot to us as men. I don't want to say it's just the white man, because it's not. A lot of us don't value education. A lot of us don't want to be disciplined enough to go through the thing that's hard. Do what's hard now to make it easy later. You know what I mean? And that has nothing to do with the white man. That has everything to do with just being lazy and not really willing to step up and be in your rightful position as a man. As a woman, if I talk to a lot of young sisters, and I feel bad for them that they never get the rest in their feminine energy. I really do. It's sad, man. You know what I'm saying? If you always got to grind, you work. In other words, she's playing the role of a dude. I got to pay the bills. I got to take care of my kids. You know what I'm saying? And do all that. And then you expect me to be a woman. She's going to feel the same frustration that me and you feel. And then you wonder why she act that way. She never get the rest in being a woman. So, but nobody want to have that real conversation. You know what I mean? Well, if I can't, they start making small arguments and make it a big. Just think about it. If you have a daughter and she has to work 40, 45 hours a week, and of course, most women naturally want to have children. I got 2 kids. I got to give them to daycare. Daycare didn't exist in the 70s. There's no such thing. Now it's a multi-billion-dollar business. You know what I'm saying? And so now you take that out the home. So when you remove mom from being that nurturer, being in an environment where she can create a lovely home, and not that you don't need 2 incomes, I get it. Things are much more expensive. I get it. So, you got to change with the times. But again, all these things, there's no reason saying that everything has to keep going up. There's no law saying everything has to just keep getting more and more expensive. There's no law for that. But the reason is, I tell people the reason they want women in the workplace has nothing to do with women. It has everything to do with the tax base. We can tax their ass too.
We all are fed.
Yeah, it's everybody. We're going to eat off all of them. You see what I'm saying? That's why I was never a big fan of integration. Not at all. I'm not saying segregation that you don't do business with other nations. But what I'm saying is, by you integrating, we take your money and got our money too. You don't own jack. You know what I'm saying? Most people, but we're not business oriented like that. Most people say, oh, that's a racist statement. Is that true? What about Chinatown? Is that true? What about Little Italy? Is that true? Really? You know what I'm saying? When we had Tulsa, Oklahoma, they destroyed that. But that's neither here nor there. There are a lot of things we could do. Number one, we got to come together. Number two, we got to spend money with each other. If you go in this community, the Chinese people, I love Chinese food, but you're not going to see a soul food restaurant in a Chinese neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. But you'll see a Chinese restaurant in the black community.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the gas station, you're not going to see a black man owning the gas station. You'll see another nationality owning that gas station, and good for them. But the fact is, his customers are all black. So he's pulling that black dollar out. This is not about being radical. This is just what makes good business sense. Most of us don't study, and then you take the brightest of us, the Harvards, the Princetons, and then you pick them and you take them to your own community where they're still making millions of dollars for the firm and they're making a great living, but that's not in your community.
Mm-hmm.
Everything with us has to become community-based. That's the only way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, the cycle will continue.
Mm.
It just will be the way it is. You know, there's more than enough money in the black community, first and foremost. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have Walmarts, Lowe's, and all the gas station, Walgreens, CVS, all the stuff you see around your community. They're not there just because they like you. They're there because they can make money there. But what the deal is, the lack of leadership and really, truly economic development. What I found out is that black people in power are no different than white people in power, corrupt. I'm just telling the truth. You know what I mean? And that's what absolute power does. It corrupts people, especially if you wield a lot of it and it's a lot of money involved. You know, that's why I'm not a fan of politics. I don't rock with none of that. You know what I mean? I used to try to do a little business with the city. Man, I ain't with none of that. I ain't kissing nobody's ass. You can feel me? And I'm just telling you the truth. You hearing it from an old head. The best thing you can do is control your wealth. If you can get 5 or 10 brothers that you could trust, you could build anything. The deal is, can you find 5 or 10 that you could trust?
10? I don't know.
You see what I'm saying?
I could probably find 3.
See, but that might not be enough. You need an attorney, finance, builder, engineer, architects, all that stuff. You need at least 10 people. And the fact that you can say, I don't know, that's the problem. That's right there is the problem. We can't find 10 black men in that city of millions of people that's willing to vibe and to work together and to move the community. We don't even have to move the community forward. We're going to move ourselves forward. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go buy this. We're going to go do this. And the option is there for you to do it. But unfortunately, through years of conditioning, don't trust each other. You know what I'm saying? It's no different than when you see black people talking, right? They having a conversation, then a white person come around, black people start talking different. Tell me I'm lying. Yeah, we all that. Man, please miss me with that. That's what I love about my life. I'm free. I don't answer to nobody no more. Pay my taxes, keep it moving. For real. For real. I'm telling you straight, young brother. So you say, what can we do? Man, there's so many things we can do, but what we can do and what we need to do are not the same thing. I'm going to say that to you again. What we can do and what we need to do are not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We need to stop promoting so much, listen, I used to smoke weed, I used to drink, I done done it all, bro. So I ain't trying to sit up here and be hypocritical. But it's hard to be focused if the mind ain't clear. It's hard. It's hard to be focused, man. You can't show up to business meetings smelling like dope, like you just came out of the dope house. You can't, and I ain't hating on nobody. My mom slung dope growing up. I'm just being real with you. But if you want to get to the real bag, the real money, the real long green, to where you can truly affect change, where you have what's called not money, but resources, there's a difference between money and resources. You see what I'm saying? Somebody got to change, man. Somebody's got to be willing to make the sacrifice. Really think about it. So it's not just one solution. It's a variety of things we have to do. But the first thing we have to do is heal as a people. We jacked up, man. We're in a lot of pain, men and women. We're in a lot of pain. Why would black women be talking to each other the way that they do? Why? The way they disrespect each other, and to do it publicly. Now everybody sees something jump off, they pull their phone out. Why would a brother just roll up on a dude and smoke him for nothing? You know how precious a life is? Take 9 months to create. And in an instance, in less than 9 seconds, it could be over. Why we let everybody steal from us? Our music, our style, our swag. And we support it. You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. I love Dion and what he's doing, man. I just wish we could have did it for ourselves. But I went to Morgan. I went to a HBCU. Yo, we ain't at that standard, bro. Nobody want to have a real conversation. I don't blame him for doing what he did. You know what I mean? And he got to look out for him and his kids too. never count another man's pockets. But at the end of the day, black people let black people down. That's just why I see it.
We gonna laugh. Mr. J, we gotta let some of that sit, man. You can't say all that and then expect us to just continue the conversation, man. You gotta let some of that sit, Mr. J.
Well,
give him some time to digest that,
we'll
man.
give him a few minutes, let him digest.
Give him a little time.
But that too much, David. It's the truth, right? You think you're gonna get some good responses from this one?
Oh, we're gonna get some good responses, but whenever you start talking about the black community and what people can do better, you have to understand, and I know you know this. I'm gonna say I have to understand because I get annoyed, but I have to understand that, there's gonna be people that just do not agree, that vehemently, or however you say the word, they disagree wholeheartedly.
You know what I learned? Don't read comments.
Yeah, I don't read comments. Yeah, I had to learn that. First year I was reading comments, and then after a while I started realizing, we getting too big. Once I got to 10K, I said, everybody don't agree with me. I said, all right, let me have to stop reading. I'm gonna have to stop reading some of these comments. Because you can say things with the best of intention. And I'm sitting here with you. So it's different when this is what people don't understand about Instagram, right? When you put a piece of content out, you don't get the energy of the room and the person. You don't really get that, right? Because people, a lot of times on social media, you're scrolling through everything. It's hard to put a piece of content out and give you the full context of the situation with the energy. If I could do that every single time, I would, right? But the truth of it is that we're in these platforms. We had to put out a minute and 30 seconds. You had to grab the best, most engaging part, or else people gonna leave. You're not gonna hook them, right? And what ends up happening is people get a small piece, right? We all have a squirrel mentality at this point right now where we can only sit for only about a minute and 30 seconds, if that. God forbid it's 2 minutes. Now I'm wasting people's time, right?
Yeah.
So once you do all that, at that point, the message is already watered down and people are not really getting the full crux of it. And they're not willing to do the work to go and look at the full episode. Yeah. So then when you combine that with the conditioning, then you have people that are like, wow, this guy, I can't believe this guy would say that. He has no idea what he's talking about, right? Like if I'm thinking about the clip that I'm gonna grab, where you earlier talking about authority with men. There's somebody, if I just take that 60 seconds, men having authority in the household, there's gonna be at least one woman that's saying, this is the problem. Why do y'all feel like y'all have to control us? Women need autonomy. And this is what leads to manipulation in relationships and blah, blah, blah. Not knowing that later on in the episode, about maybe 5-10 minutes ago, you said the most precious, right? The most precious person
is the woman.
Right? Because nobody wants to sit through a 2 hour. Nobody wants to sit through 2 hours.
Maybe you could do a good job in editing.
Editing, yes, I will. That's very important. That's very important, but
I see your point.
But you get what my point is, right?
I see your point.
People, and you said this, the assumption is already that things are negative and not trying to benefit and help me. And when you already come into things with the assumption that things are going to be negative, there's something in psychology called confirmation bias. No matter what I do, I could present you with $1 million. If you have confirmation bias that I'm trying to hurt you in some way, shape, or form, you're going to say, why are you giving me $1 million?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, because of course, there's no way in hell that I could be trying to give you something and try to help you because the confirmation bias in you says that this has to be negative.
I think the reason my videos took off because when I talk to the editor, I tell him exactly this is what I want you to do.
I do that with my editor too, yeah.
Yeah, this is how I want it to be perceived. Even still, some people have something.
Of course, you'll drive yourself
crazy.
That's all.
You already know, young blood. Young blood, you already know it ain't worth it.
It's not.
But what you can do is try to mitigate it as much as possible.
As possible, yeah, as much as possible, yeah.
But see, when I listen to you and I'm watching you, man, y'all the thought leaders of the future, man.
I appreciate that.
You just got to take it, man. You got to take the hits.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because some people, because it comes with it. You know what I mean? Man, who those squares? What do you know? Cool. Somebody gonna be like, yo, that was deep.
Yeah, I have it all the time. You see like you said, the polarity. You have one person that's like, man, thank you so much for this. This really resonated with me. Then you got other people like, how can you say this? This don't make any type of sense. This is crazy. This is what's wrong. This is what's wrong with the black community. It's like, yo, you got so many different, that's what ends up happening. That's what comes with it.
You know what you should hit them with? Because we should hit them with the writings next. You should put a writing out, then do it good.
What you mean? Break that down.
Like, for example, you only can do it like you post something on Instagram or whatever. All right, I'm gonna show y'all the podcast with Mr. Johnson, blah blah blah. Instead of just hitting them right out the rip with the podcast, you know, I don't want to tell you how to do your thing.
No, I'm always listening. I'm always willing to learn.
Maybe hit them with Mr. Johnson with social experiment. Then you show them the podcast. Or hit them with in my community. Then start going into the podcast. So they starting to see, damn.
They see the context of the person.
The context of what's going on. Why he's speaking the way he's speaking.
I see. You know what the thing is? That's very important. I like that you said that. Because when I put the episodes out, people don't realize when I do the reels, I do them in chronological order for the most part. So you're going through the conversation with us. So if you go back for like the first reel for whatever episode that I do, it's probably within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the conversation. Yeah. As the conversation goes on, emotions rise and things happen, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So in the middle of the conversation, you're going to hear something that maybe later on in the conversation is explained a little bit more, but you don't really have all of that context. So you're just hearing what's being said in the middle of the conversation. And then in 2 days, you get more and you're like, well, why didn't you just post this 2 days ago? You know what I'm saying? So I think maybe I could do a better job of that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that.
You put that out there and be like, damn, who was the elder? And did the writings resonate with you? Absolutely.
Yeah. So if I see that, then I see something else. I'm more inclined
to see where OG is coming from.
Yeah.
See, I see where he's coming from. Because damn, what he just said is the what?
Truth.
The truth. And it was non-biased. It was just the truth. You see, and that's what I tell my guys, hey man, because you got to be very careful. When I have 500 employees, over half of them are women. And I tell my wife this all the time. Women are highly intelligent. But their guiding, their how can I say this? Their compass is their emotions. That's why your girls say, well, this how I what about it?
That's how I feel.
This how I feel. You see, this how I feel about it. That's their indicator for them. With a man, be more logical. But to see, it's the yin and the yang principle. You need them both to create the balance. And so even like us talking, if this is still running, damn,
it is.
That's deep. I hear OG's telling us the truth. You can't say a woman's wrong for feeling what she's feeling. And you can't say the dude is wrong for thinking what he's thinking. Where you go wrong at, you lack understanding with each other. That's why the book teaches you and I, and all thy getting, get understanding. See, most people don't understand. They hear you, but they don't comprehend. They don't understand. Why would you say that? Why would you think that way? Because you don't understand what I've been through. You see, we all of our lives are different and yet the same.
You need to hit them with the spoken word. Whatever one you want to listen. Whether you want to do in my community, social experiment,
I want to do a bunch of
it. If you want to do it, yeah, I remember.
I did it for you. Like, Jay, that was deep.
Yeah.
I do one for you. This was called Social Experiment. It goes like this. Are you aware of the social experiment? You're participating even though you're not aware of it. This experiment is very complex. You know it by its code name. We call it the projects. Take a minute and study the word, and you will see what I'm saying is not absurd. This is how this experiment takes place. Cram them all together in the very tight place. After we pack them in like a sardine can, the next level of this experiment is to destroy the black man. And I'm going to cause him to do it with his very own hand. Let me take you on a little tour. Fill their communities with gun shops and liquor stores. Get them the worst cuts of meat to eat. You know this is ham hocks, pig ears, and dirty pig feet. Give them a job that pays a little wage. That way they can never escape being in this cage. Give them a dumbed down education. That way their knowledge will never exceed inflation. Now the next thing they do is help a sister. Now that her man is no longer with her. Now the controller of this experiment is giving aid. You know this is food stamps, wicked, even Medicaid. Now I'm going to show you how to break these chains, and frankly it might cause you a little pain. So I'm going to rationalize it so you won't think I'm insane. In order for this experiment to work, you had to be gained. You might say that how did I get got? It happened when you pulled that gun in the parking lot. You know what happened where it starts to travel. That's when you meet the woman in the black dress and the wooden gavel. Standing there, she's judging you, telling you what you did or you didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
A felony is the legal terminology. Can't you see it's a game of Monopoly? Can't you see this game is rigged? They own your house, your car, and even your bed. One might think this can't be true. Don't pay your taxes and they're coming for you.
Mm.
But here you learn to proceed with caution, or you will find your belongings sold at auction. But you don't know because of your dumbed down education. So now you become a victim of privatization. Are you aware of the social experiment? You're participating even though you're not aware of it. Open your eyes, black people.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Not bad, David.
That ain't not bad. That's great. That's dope. Listen, man. They need to hear that.
See, you hit them with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the first one going out for sure.
But here you go. I'm going to do it in my community for you. So
yeah,
you
please.
Right? It goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
In my community, the young are expendable. In my community, the old are not dependable. In my community, evil rules. In my community, we have substandard schools. In my community, the heart waxes cold. In my community, so many of us lose our soul. In my community, hip-hop and sports take precedence. Unfortunately, all this reigns above intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
In my community, we kill for sport. If you don't understand, allow me to retort. You see, in my community, if you educate yourself and learn to speak well, you greatly decrease your chances of ever going to jail. But when you ask or just want to know which way the young are choosing to go, you hear these timeless words, I just don't know. You see, in my community, if you show you're smart, you're called a square and L7 and set apart.
Mm.
Not in a good way, you see. You're labeled an Oreo, house nigga, Uncle Tom, or wannabe. Ask most young people what they see. A father that's absent, a mother that's 15 years older, and their younger sibling on their mother's shoulder. I'm going to give you a formula for success, to raise your children and make them the best. First, I want you to teach them how to yell. This will come in handy when they're sitting in jail. Then I want you to teach them to value all the wrong things, cars, clothes, and expensive rings. Let them listen to all kinds of things, rape, murder, and death, and don't forget the bling bling. Don't let no one disrespect you, you're going to say. But how can that be with the blunt and the ashtray? Now, I don't mean to put us all in the box, but let's be honest, they have most of us on lock. Locked in the prison that has no bars, the prisons of our own mind. Damn Malcolm, damn Dr. King, damn W.E.B. Du Bois, damn Harriet Tubman, the plan has failed. Over 1 million African Americans sitting in jail. Oh, we have the homes, cars, and clothes, you see, but it cost us something, our unity. Black people hate each other now, and the TV shows that portray us make us look like clowns. I understand why you all had to die. It was to kill a dream you all had inside. Now, most won't admit it. The whites only didn't do it. We picked up the reins ourselves and got right to it. Kill each other. Disrespect your mother. Lay with anyone under the covers. Keep having sex without protection. Never ever looking at your own reflection. They have a plan that's about to give birth to eliminate black people from the planet Earth. This plan was easy to hatch. Oppress the majority and let a few through the cracks. Keep them blinded, it's easy to do. Let them smoke dope and drink until the monitor says code blue. In my community, this happens every day. Thousands of us have lost our way. There's something else I'd like to mention, or should I even bother, but I think I would be remiss not to mention the black father. Now, I'm not speaking of those who raise their children to do what they're supposed to do. Those are not the ones I choose to mention. I'm speaking of those with no direction. I think you should stop. It's your lifestyle that feeds the block. You keep replenishing it without thinking about the toll. You keep the prisons filled with fresh young souls. Keep it real, fam, isn't that what we say? What if that's what that means? I simply say stay the hell away. It's insane how we live, beloved. Change.
Good Lord. You know, with that being said, can you tell the people where to find you? how they can tap in, what you got coming up,
man,
anything you want to promote.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on, man. And we'll talk off camera. Maybe we could be a part of it.
Absolutely, I would love to.
But you can find me on Instagram, the TX Johnson, THETXJ, JOH. Is that correct? Yeah, the TX Johnson. You can find me on Instagram. I'm also on YouTube. We got a podcast there. It's called Evolution Now with Mr. Johnson. The response has been great with that. I'm also on TikTok. That's Terrance.X.Johnson. It's been blowing up on there as well, man. I mean, and I want to just thank all the people for the support. I had no idea. I started this basically 3 months ago. About to hit 50,000 followers, 5 million views. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. I hope that it helps. I hope that it resonates with people and that you get what was meant to get out of the message. And as far as the mentor program, if you want to reach out to me, when you go to Instagram, just click on the email link. I don't take any more than 20 students a month, sometimes 25. If you're interested, reach out. My assistant can set something up. We'll see if we get you moving in the right direction. We cover a variety of topics that I think that would be beneficial to you, and it's worked well for me. And I also want to thank my young guns for having me on.
Of course.
It's a pleasure. These two sharp young brothers over here, and it's a blessing just that God would use me in this way to be around this type of energy. And I'm just speaking nothing but prosperity and success, good health, longevity, peace of mind, and that God increase their territory. So please keep supporting these brothers. They're doing it the right way. Big energy, big vibe. And as you young folks say, tap into them. So I'm Mr. J. You know what I mean? Mr. J, I'm the OG. And nothing but love for all of y'all. I'm not anti anyone. I'm us first. And at the end of the day, I love Black people. And remember this, your mind makes it real. Best believe.
Mr. J, thank you for being here.
My pleasure, Black man. No doubt,
Appreciate
man.
you.
No doubt.
Appreciate
No
you.
doubt.
Nah, that's a fire episode right there. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you are planning an event or you are part of your organization's Black employee group and you are interested in having dope Black mental health professionals or myself come in and do a speaking engagement or a workshop or a keynote address or a panel, please click the link in our bio on Instagram or TikTok, scroll down and click book us for speaking and brand deals and fill out the form available on our website. Once you fill out the form, one of our team members will get back to you about how we can collaborate and create something dope for your organization. This is an unparalleled opportunity. We are currently the largest Black men's mental health platform, and we have a few slots available for our calendar year, and we would love to partner with you to create something dope for your organization if it makes sense for both parties, right? So go to the link in our bio, scroll down, click book us for speaking and brand deals, and fill out that form. If you're not on Instagram, the link should be linked in our description of this episode. And it is also on our website. If you go to expressyourselfblackman.com/speaking-brand-deals. That's expressyourselfblackman.com/speaking-brand-deals. If you are looking for a therapist, a Black therapist, and you've had a hard time finding one, you've jumped from therapist to therapist, or you just don't know how to find a therapist, we are teaching a free webinar. It's completely free, taking you from not knowing how to find a therapist, not knowing where to search for therapists, struggling with finding good therapists for you, not knowing what to look for in therapists, teaching you all of those different things, and also giving you the opportunity at the end of the webinar to be connected with one of our safe haven healers who are Black mental health professionals so that you do not have to go through the struggles of finding a Black therapist alone anymore, right? So if you're interested in that, you want to get connected with a Black mental health professional at the end of the webinar, or you just want to learn how to find a Black therapist by yourself, you can sign up for the free webinar. It's linked in our bio on Instagram and TikTok. You just click that free webinar link once you click the link in our bio and fill out the form. You can also find it on our website at expressyourselfblackman.com/links and fill out the form there for our next webinar session. If you're not interested in any of that, right, but you know someone that may be interested in it, all we ask is that you please share it. If you want some of the merch that we show on the platform all the time that we're wearing,
on the platform all the time. You can shop it at shop.expressyourselfblackman.com. And once again, we just want to say thank you so much for watching this episode. Thank you so much for supporting us. Please, if you are on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to this on an audio platform, please leave a review. It helps us out greatly. Thank you so much for your support. We're wishing you nothing but the best and sending you and your family and your loved ones love and light. Peace.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. A shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother, I love you. We got way too much to live for.